We'll call the public session to order in open session. Note, this meeting is being televised, streamed, or recorded by Bourne TV. If anyone in the audience is recording or videotaping, they need to acknowledge such at this time. Oh, I see. Oh, and okay. Thank you. And please refrain from using any flash photography. This meeting obviously is not being streamed on Zoom this afternoon. I'm so used to being here in the evening. And we can get started. I know Marlene's working on the presentation for our first candidate. And
It is a large file, so it's taking some time to load, but.
Okay.
I have another file without the video in it.
Oh, it has a video? Yes. Okay, why don't we try that one, because this one is.
all right, no worries at all. Our first candidate, just so you know, is scheduled for one, and it is Bourne Cannabis LLC, 694 to 698 MacArthur Boulevard, for adult use marijuana retail establishment. When ready.
Which file is it, Jimmy?
We'll just have to do the best we can with this one. It's all right. I'll do the best. If I need to try to advance it manually, I can. But, let me get you started. This one. If I need to, I can flip through this one. Okay, it looks like it's moving. Yeah. So why don't you get started? Just point it here. Advance and go backward. If you need me to do it manually, I can do that.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
All right. Thank you,
Good to
sir.
go? All right.
Introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you. My name is Michael Kinahan. I'm one of the co-founders of Bourne Cannabis. Thank you for having me. Before I jump into an introduction of myself, here's a quick overview of what we wanted to discuss today. So some brief information on the company, proposed location, some operational information, a proposed timeline, some financial projections, and just an overall vision for the company. Since it's the first time we're all meeting here, I'd love to start with a quick introduction of myself, my journey into cannabis, and the cultivation facility that I started and currently operated. So I grew up in West Bridgewater. Although I never lived in Bourne, I actually spend my summers on Big Sandy Pond. I still do to this day. I worked at Waterworks back in the day, went to the Mass Maritime basketball camps. So I do have some ties to the neighborhood. After high school, I went to University of Rhode Island, where I got a civil engineering degree. Then I moved to Roxbury, and I'm currently in Dorchester with my family now. Although I don't do too much on the engineering side of things, I do still have an active CSL license. This brings me to the professional side of things. In 2019, I started a cannabis cultivation facility. It's located in Taunton, Massachusetts. We're currently in our third year of operations. We're in the final stages of receiving manufacturing, so we'll have cultivation and manufacturing. We're on our final inspection with the CCC, hoping to have that in the next 2 to 3 months. Part of that, when we had to raise $4.5 million. Fortunately, we don't have to go through that again. That was not fun, and it's not as easy to raise cannabis funding right now. We're well capitalized. So if we were fortunate enough to be given a chance here in Bourne, we're ready to go. A quick blurb on my introduction to cannabis. About 7 years ago, I dislocated, and tore ligaments in my elbow. The doctors were giving me a lot of different medicines. They didn't make me feel so great. I was introduced to a CBD cream that helped speed up my recovery. So I've been a medical advocate for the cannabis ever since. Another example, my aunt here, you can see she's had a lot going on. That's her medication list. So I've been helping her with RSO treatment. She's had melanoma, thyroid cancer. She even broke her back. While on the topic of medical, we are not medically licensed because we're not vertically integrated yet. If we were to receive a retail dispensary here, that would make us vertically integrated, and we could become a medical licensed dispensary and serve medical patients in the surrounding areas. We do sell some of our products to about 7 or 8 medically licensed facilities across the state right now from the cultivation facility. So a quick blurb on the cultivation facility. I know it doesn't directly impact the retail store, but I wanted to discuss, how we run things over there. So we're one of, if not the only, grow facility that grows in organic living soil beds. We have a cover crop. We use beneficial bugs. We grow a clean, natural product. We are able to reap all the benefits from Mother Nature, but we are indoors, so we do not have the negative effects of the weather affecting the plants. On top of that, we are very environmentally conscious. Sustainability is forefront for us. We reamend and reuse our soil. We capture and reuse our water. We use glass jars instead of plastic, although they're more expensive and they're heavier, so they're more expensive to ship. It's an additional cost that we're willing to pay. We also, instead of dumping our waste into the dumpster, which is brought to a landfill, we have worm beds which we feed all of our waste, and the worms eat it, and we can reuse those castings. Overall, I wanted to bring this up just to show, the type of facility we run on the cultivation. We try to do the right thing. We pay our employees a few dollars more than the state average. We're currently in the process of becoming an ESOP company, so an employee-owned company. We've offered a 401k since day one to all employees with a 3% company match, and we pay 75% of all medical and dental for every employee. On top of that, the organic growing practices do afford us a quality product. As you can see, we've been fortunate enough to win a good number of the competitions we've entered and been featured in a few magazines. With that said, I'd like to introduce the rest of the team. So, like I said, I have cultivation and manufacturing experience. Tejal and Jenish have a good amount of retail experience, and then adding the Stroni family really rounds us off as, I think, a solid team that is very community-oriented and covers a lot of the bases here. I will pass it to Jenish here, who will be able to tell a little bit more about himself and the rest of the team.
All right, good afternoon. I'm going to introduce Tejal Patel, who could not be here today. She is a resident of Waltham. She went to University in Maryland, Baltimore. She's a founder and operator of Stories Cannabis Dispensary in Fall River. Another Stories location in Attleboro is slated to open at the end of the year. She used to be co-founder of Uma Flowers in Pepperell. And she had a video, but it did not work, so I am going to read what she said. Hello, everyone. My name is Tejal, and I am co-owner of Bourne Cannabis, LLC. First, I'd like to apologize for not being able to join you in person today. Unfortunately, I had a prior commitment that I could not reschedule. That said, I still want to take the opportunity to introduce myself and share with you some of the information I would have represented if I were here in person. You may recall I represented Bourne Canna LLC in 2024 for a dispensary at 4 Bourne Bridge Approach. Bourne Canna LLC was ranked 4th in that process, while Mellow Greens at 694 MacArthur Boulevard was ranked 3rd. There were challenges with Bourne Canna LLC's application, most notably regarding the site. Some board members expressed concerns that 4 Bourne Bridge Approach, due to its location and the history of businesses in the area, may not be ideal for a successful dispensary. Additional feedback highlighted the potential increase in traffic during rush hour from dispensary operations at that rotary, which could negatively impact overall safety and access for people entering and exiting Bourne. Mellow Green LLC's application had several strengths, including local ownership, a prime location on MacArthur Boulevard, and a robust local comprehensive plan supporting job creation, community development, and business stability. However, Mellow Greens lacked true retail cannabis dispensary experience amongst its owners. We also know there is a strong desire among Board of Selectmen members to introduce a medical marijuana program in Bourne to serve medical card holders. To address the shortcomings of both applications, we decided to unite the strengths of Bourne Canna LLC and Mellow Greens LLC, leading to the creation of Bourne Cannabis LLC. Bourne Cannabis LLC brings together extensive retail cannabis experience, proven success in cultivation, the opportunity to establish a medical marijuana facility to serve Bourne residents, a solid local comprehensive plan, and local ownership managing daily operations. With my previous partner, Priyanka Patel, we have successfully managed local and state permitting, construction, and operations for Uma Flowers retail dispensaries in Pepperell and Waltham. I have since launched my own brand, Stories Cannabis, operating in Fall River, with a new location soon opening in Attleboro. If Bourne Cannabis LLC is awarded a host community agreement, our team can finally launch both retail and medical programs in Bourne, something unique among 2024 awardees and current 2025 applicants. I thank you for your time and attention to our application and presentation. Those were words of Tejal, and now we can go through. This is their first Stories Cannabis location in Fall River. And now a little bit about me. My name is Jenish Patel. I live in East Bridgewater. I graduated Bentley University with a bachelor's degree. I have experience in food, gas, liquor, and cannabis industry. All of these are highly competitive and regulated industries. Recently, I was voted for my third term as a board member for our Hindu temple in Foxborough. I also got voted in as a vice president. I bring expertise in strategic planning, regulatory navigation, and team development. Here is my first cannabis location, and it's called Botera Union LLC. It's located in Union, New Jersey. We commenced operations in April 2024. First year of sales was $4.6 million. Second year of sales to date, August 31st, were 4.8. We hope to end the year around 6 million. We have close to 500 reviews on Google with a 4.9 star rating. All employees receive health care as well as a 401k match. We start wages at $22 an hour there. And we would just like to recreate that here. Here are some pictures of that dispensary. Now, our local ownership team, it starts with Anna Stroney, who's lived in Bourne for 15 years, Emily Stroney, and Mitchell, who is also here. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Anna. She would like to say a few words.
Good afternoon, members of the Select Board. My name is Anna Stroney, and I've been a special education teacher here in Massachusetts for over 27 years. Throughout my career, I have dedicated myself to supporting students and families with a variety of diverse needs. I take great pride in my work and being a trusted educator and community member. This year, I left the classroom to participate in a district grant position that is community-based. My teaching role now consists of traveling to a variety of community sites to provide eligible students with special education services. For me, delivering educational services goes beyond the walls of the classroom. One area where my background will be particularly helpful is in working with the ownership and management of Bourne Cannabis to create a strong community educational program. We intend to provide clear, fact-based information about responsible use, safe practices, and the importance of keeping cannabis out of the hands of minors. Our goal is not only to run a compliant business, but also to be proactive in educating the community and supporting public health and safety. My personal motivation in joining the business is the opportunity to be part of something that is legal, carefully regulated, and beneficial to the local economy, while also giving back through education and community engagement. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I look forward to working together to ensure this project reflects the values of Bourne.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Now that you've met all the owners, we'll talk a little about the company. So the company, we are fully funded and we can begin construction as soon as we're permitted. We're going to do a complete renovation of the building that has been abandoned for multiple years. We actually already own the building, so we can start work as soon as possible. Past experience of opening multiple cannabis dispensaries provides us the ability to get through the design and licensing process as quickly as possible. With Mike on board, we have existing relationships with vendors across the Commonwealth and to ensure that we receive the best product at the best price. A little overview, Bourne Cannabis LLC is here to obtain a retail marijuana license. We have 6,475 square feet, offering ample space for efficient customer flow in the sales area and administrative operations. We're going to do significant modifications by renovating interior and exterior spaces. We're going to install a state-of-the-art security system. There's ample parking for customers and employees. We need 25. We'll have a total of 43. The hours of operations will be Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., and on Sunday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And with that, I will transition to Eric Diaz, who will explain a little more about himself.
Good afternoon. For the record, my name is Eric Dias. I'm a registered professional engineer and owner of Strong Point Engineering. I am responsible for the site design and permitting, so the team has asked me to just come talk about the site a little bit, and more specifically, why this is a great location for this type of use. So, going through, we are located at 694 MacArthur Boulevard. This shows kind of the Google overlay, and the red dot signifies where the site is. You can see that we are about half a mile northbound of the Otis Rotary. The site is located in the business zoning district. It is in the MOD overlay, and it's in a water resource district. So permitting perspective, really, we're subject to site plan review. The reason why this site is great is because of its location on MacArthur Boulevard. We did submit, as part of our application package, a brief traffic analysis. But just to kind of go through some of those and summarize things, the right in, right out, just like everything on MacArthur, is ideal. We are sandwiched between the south and northbound U-turns. We're about 400 feet from the northbound U-turn and about 1,200 feet from the southbound U-turn. Great location, means people are going to slip right in and out of there. But more importantly, when we look at our peak traffic generated by the site, peak number of trips, people coming into the site, what we find is that in our high season, in the peak hour, we're running about 180 trips into and out of the site at the peak hour. That's equates to about one trip, one vehicle every 45 seconds. But if you dig further into our analysis, a major portion of those trips are anticipated to be what we call pass-by travelers, right? People who are already going down MacArthur to go somewhere else. So we have high visibility, we have a good client base, but we're not drawing a ton of traffic to a location that doesn't already have it. Beyond that, you will remember the site as this is just a snapshot of the site. The site has been a number of things over the years. I think most recently it was used as an automotive shop. It's a bit of a blighted site in its current condition. The site will obviously be upgraded quite a bit. This is our site plan. The intention is to keep the existing building, but to expand the parking area. As was mentioned, we have space for a minimum of 43 parking spaces, where zoning requires us to have 25. So certainly we have the ability to handle any, quote, honeymoon period traffic on the site itself. And then this is just a snapshot of what the building is intended to look like after the renovation. So certainly more in line with the character, I think, that Bourne is interested in, especially on a main thoroughfare through town. And it will clean this site up quite a bit. And then lastly, this is just some shots of interior of existing facilities that are run by the proponents of this project. So you can see kind of the modernization and the feel that they're going for interior. So that's all I have as far as site and building is concerned. I will save the rest of my comments for any Q&A.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, if you bear with me, can I use the... Okay, so can everyone see the screen on the TV?
I had a clicker on it.
It should have a click.
Oh, yeah, the
Are
pointer.
you doing the pointer?
The
Yes.
pointer won't
Oh.
work.
It won't work.
It won't work then, yeah.
Okay,
It
can
only
I
works,
just
yeah.
step up
Yeah,
there?
go
Sure, sure, of course.
So I would just like
bring
to
the
take-
Bring the mic with you.
Yeah, yeah, grab your mic with you, yeah, take it right with you. Then the folks at home can hear you.
I'd like
Never
to,
at home.
I'd like to
Like
take
a
you.
game show.
I'd like to take you through the customer's point of view, where this would be the entrance. They would come in here to our security vestibule. Their ID would be checked, and then they would be asked if they placed an order online or if they need to place an order. If they need to place an order, they would wait here until a tender came to get them, and then they would walk around with them, explaining everything, educating, and then that bud tender would place the order. We follow a fulfillment model. It's like the Apple Store, where there are no products out there, but once you place the order, back in the security vault, they will get the order ready and they will pass it through the window. And then the customer will pull up to the cashier and their ID will be verified again. The cashier will grab their order and verify the receipt on the order with their ID again. And once that transaction's done, then the customer just exits out of this dedicated exit. And that is it on this side. So their ID will be checked at least 3 times throughout this whole process.
Okay.
Operations, based on what our other retail experience, we hope to offer a mix of everything, but 40% will be majority flour. All products will be pre-packaged and sold in tamper or child-resistant packaging. There will be no on-site production or repackaging. The display packaging for consumer access on sales floor will not contain any cannabis products. All cannabis products will be contained in the fulfillment room or the vault storage. Consumer education information will be available in multiple locations on site in multiple languages. For the security aspect, we're going to do a state-of-the-art ID verification system with security staff will monitor interior and exterior of the premises. There will be limited access areas, only accessed by key card. 24/7 surveillance by independent alarm company, and we will store the video footage for 100 days. The camera access will be given to Bourne Police Department and the CCC, and they will be able to access our cameras whenever they like. All products will remain in secured vaults during and after operations. Compliance. So we have a proven cannabis experience. Michael, who is a licensed cultivator, Dejal, who is the founder of multiple dispensaries, and now that I have experience with one dispensary. Strong compliance record. We have not received any, we have no violations in prior cannabis operations. We are committed to law enforcement coordination. The security plan we've designed had feedback from Bourne Police Department. Ongoing training, direct supervision of day-to-day operations from the ownership group. Prevention of diversion. We will follow the seed to sale tracking, which, as it sounds, it maintains real-time inventory tracking and tagging of all cannabis products. Complete and regular inventory checks and records of all checks. Comply with all safe and secure storage regulations. Energy. I started the Green Society at Bentley while I was out there, and so I'm very dedicated to sustainability and emission reduction. We will have lighting schedules, automatic lights and natural lighting, LED lights and efficient HVAC units, which Mike brings from his experience at Tower 3. Timeline. So if we were able to secure an HCA by the end of this month, we are ready to apply for site plan review by October. We would then apply for the CCC by November and hopefully have a building permit by the end of this year. We will strive to open by this time next year. And financials, if we open by this time next year, since it's a half year, 2026, we're projecting 3.2 million. In 2027, around 11.5 million. In 2028, 11.8 million. Project costs, the total build-out cost is 800,000. We also have the ownership group. It will loan for the inventory and whatever. So we have some money set aside for that. With that, I will hand it off to Steve Stroney for our vision.
Hi, folks. For the record, my name is Steve Stroney. I live here in Bourne, and my family is part of the ownership group. My wife Anna, my son Mitchell, and my daughter Emily, who's not here because she's in nursing school. But the things I wanted to touch upon are the things I think might set us apart from any other candidate. One of the things I think first and foremost is that we took that last group, the Tejal Patel's group, which I thought you were all very impressed with, and we combined their strengths with our strength, our location, our resources, and our experienced team. The ability to vertically integrate gives us opportunities that the other folks just don't have. Everybody's going to talk about hiring local people, but how are you going to do that? How are we going to attract people? How are we going to help people that live in the community? Well, we're going to do that a number of different ways. We have the ESOP, which is the Employee Stock Option Plan, which is part of our business plan, part of our hiring package. That gives the people that work at the store the opportunity to build real wealth. We also offer medical and vision and dental. As far as housing, I think we all know in Bourne, housing is a major issue. So to that end, what we've done is we've partnered up with a fellow by the name of Johnny Haddam. Some of you may know him, some of you may not. At 340 Main Street, he's building 7 two-bedroom units. He has signed an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, where he will make 4 of those units available to our staff. He will make more available if we need more. What we will do is we offer a housing assistance program. So if we have a particularly good client, a particularly good employee that, like somebody like my son's age in their early 20s, they want to live on their own, they want to live independently, they want to move out of mom and dad's house, we will help them transition. So this is something that we're particularly excited about. As far as the team we've put together, I think I don't think there's anybody else that can match the breadth and the depth of experience we have. Again, with Mike's help, we can pivot right to medical if the need is there. We have the facility to do it, we have the parking to do it, we have everything. So I just want to wrap, folks, by just saying I think we bring a very strong application. I think we will be an asset to the community. I think our numbers are maybe a little bit lower than what we'll see in reality. And so the more successful we are, we're essentially a partnership with the town of Bourne, the more successful Bourne will be. And the other thing is we do have a history of donating quite a bit of money to charitable entities. So one of the first things we'll do once we're open, and maybe a little bit before that, is reach out to organizations in the community that could use some extra support. And we know there's no lack of those. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, is that, oh, okay.
So if you want to go through this? Yeah, I think we're good. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
No, thank
Thank
you.
you for your presentation. So what we'll do now is we will go around to the board and ask if anyone has any comments, questions for our candidates. And I guess Peter, I'm looking at Peter. You look like you may want to, do you want to start for us?
Sure.
Okay.
We see a lot of these stores across the state closing, and the market's oversaturated. So what made you guys decide to build in Bourne? And what sticks you up? And I just heard the presentation, but with the way the economy's going with this industry, what makes you stick out that you are a stable company that will do well by being in this proposed location?
One thing is we are fully funded, right? A lot of these companies are running into fixed costs, where like if they take out a debt or whatever, and their fixed costs become too high, and that's why they can't survive. And I feel like Bourne, you're really the gatekeepers of the entire Cape, right? And I feel like being gatekeepers, I feel we would do well in this location, I guess, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. You were walking us through the experience of the customer in the store, and you started with, you said you would ask if people had ordered online or if they hadn't, and if they hadn't, you kind of walked us through what they would do, but you didn't say what would happen if they had ordered online.
If they had?
Yes.
If they had, they would be directed to go straight to the cashier area, where their order would already be ready for them.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sure. Couple of questions. What are you, so of course, as you know, MacArthur Boulevard, we have one license in the process. What's going to set you apart from not stopping at the first stop, because you're all the way down on the other end, seeing that first stop, and then, so is there a particular client, if there was an ideal client, what would that look like? And how are you going to attract that client or that particular, through your branding? What are some of your strategies in order to?
The knowledge, right? With Mike, he knows where the good product is, where which growers are.
Yeah, so I think our menu creation would play a big part in that. Like I said, the quality we grow at my facility in Taunton has a great reputation. We're not big enough to be in every store, so we actually are in usually one store in a town, and it's just exclusively in that town. So we do have customers who we are more expensive. We are the most expensive flour in the state, but we have people that would prefer that. They would rather pay up for the quality. So we do have people that travel to stores. We get emails and messages on our Instagram all the time about where can we go to find this product. So if our product is in this location, that will help draw some of those higher paying clients. And the question of oversaturation was brought up. We're still able to fetch a higher price point because of the quality, because of the practices and the way we grow that I discussed earlier. So I think our goal is to kind of bring that whole mentality to Bourne. And I think we would be successful in doing that.
And I might just add that, MacArthur Boulevard is the economic corridor of the town. There's a reason there's 2 Dunkin' Donuts. There used to be 3. There's a reason there's 3 gas stations and multiple restaurants. We did our traffic study. It tells us, your numbers are going to be very good. As you know, I was part of the movement to bring marijuana here, and Kevin was. And it was no secret that Kevin's shop would be on MacArthur Boulevard and our shop would be on MacArthur Boulevard at the same time. We both felt there was, enough business for that. The other thing is in Falmouth. We expect to get a lot of people from Falmouth. And we're the closest store to Falmouth. And as Eric, our engineer, indicated, the turnarounds are beautiful. You come out of the store, 400 feet, you can take a left. Or if you're coming down MacArthur Boulevard, you don't have to go to the Rotary and get involved in all that traffic. We all hate the Rotary, I think. I hate to say that. But, if you don't have to go down to the Rotary, or heaven forbid, go over the bridge, and you can just go a half a mile down from the Otis Rotary and get what you need, our client base in Falmouth is going to be, customers from Falmouth are going to be quite a bit of our business. And I think Mike touched on a really good point. We're going to have quality and the best price. We buy in bulk. We last time we were here, Melissa asked a question about, why is the pricing so different from store to store to store? Well, if you buy $10,000 worth of product, you're paying a certain amount per unit. If you buy $50,000 worth of product, you're buying a certain price minus a volume discount. So in some cases, we can offer the exact same product for $5 or $10 cheaper than our competition can do. And that's our business model. Great products at a great price. It seems simple, but it works for us. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Jean? Oh, you got some
No,
more?
go.
No, go ahead, finish. You can, go ahead. No,
All
keep
right,
going.
Ms. Stroney touched upon this, so beyond what the regulations require in the presentation and what you presented, I'm interested in, given your background in education, what are some of your ideas in diversion, right, from the underage? How can you elaborate just a little bit on some of your thoughts on how that's going to happen?
On the what? But
You talked about education in the
Yeah.
community. So, I think one of the biggest concerns as a community member, right, is how you're going to protect the under 21 population.
similar to like the liquor stores that we educate children about alcohol, and we protect them from, getting access to it. It's the same concept if you think about it. It's so it would be educating the children on that. Not letting them get access to it, just like going if they went to a liquor store, same thing.
Right.
And I think it's important for parents to understand that as well. And this is what we do now. We educate these kids on the right and wrong thing, what's acceptable, what's not, and that's important.
Okay. I have just one more.
Okay, it's okay.
No, not for
That's
you, you're
why,
good.
that's why we're
Thank
here
you.
today, so yes, go
So,
ahead. We still have 5 more minutes for our, 8 more minutes.
Oh, okay. I won't monopolize the conversation. Michael, we're a social equity program participant. Can you talk a little bit about that experience and what the requirements were?
Yeah, the CCC has strict regulations on that, so you fit or you don't. It was a process I went through a couple of years ago. You take a class, you apply, you get approved. So that it's kind of laid out how you get that qualification through the state. There's no gray area, right? You either fit a social equity or you don't.
Okay.
Through the chair.
All right, sure.
To follow up, so why are you eligible as a social equity candidate?
So I lived in an area of disproportionate impact. From Roxbury, I was there for 7 of the past 10 years of my life. So they give priority access to that, and that's why I became a social equity applicant.
All right. Jean?
I guess my question should be directed at Michael too, but for anyone. And you kind of touched upon this. Great presentation, by the way. I went through all my list of questions. But diversity, your plans and your goals, what do you have to promote equity among?
Yeah, so we had an extensive diversity plan at Tower 3 at the Cultivation, which we exceeded. We have over 50% of our employees are from Taunton, which is also an area of disproportionate impact. So we would plan to do that as well here. We're hoping to have over 50% women and 35% minorities, which I exceeded as well at Tower 3. The way we did it was we held specific job fairs for Taunton residents or social equity applicants where they were the only ones invited to the job fairs. And we were able to find people that way, as well as a lot of times just through word of mouth. A lot of people want to get into the cannabis industry, so we were able to get some friends of employees, some family. We have a father-son duo, so we have some people that have brought family and friends on as well, and we were able to complete our diversity plan that way.
That's really great. I mean, that kind of answers my second question: is how are you going to use your business to help bring positive?
Yeah, we donate time as well. We do a spring and fall cleanup. We have a block party. We bring a bouncy house for the kids. We serve food. So we try to be involved with the neighbors. We had letters of support from all the neighbors. Our cultivation facility is actually located in a residential neighborhood. It was grandfathered in, the zoning. And we haven't had not one single complaint from any of the neighbors for smell or anything. We get letters of support from them every year. So we try to be a good neighbor. We actually, our HVAC system, we over-designed so that we knew we would never have any issues with odor in the neighborhood. I know that's, it's a retail store different than cultivation, but just to show that we've tried to do the right thing the whole way through.
Nice, thank you.
All right. I think my question, do you have another question you want
It's
to follow up?
just a brief one.
Sure, go
It's a
ahead.
brief on the online transactions. How much do you expect that your sales will be through online and then pick up versus people that walk into the store and haven't made a decision? 'Cause I'm feeling that online is the pre-order is the majority of sales.
Right. We're running at like 60% online, 40% in store. And even if you don't place an order online, we will have iPads around the perimeters where you can place an order right there too, if you need.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. I think a lot of my colleagues already asked a lot of the questions that I may have had, but I think the one thing I just wanted to touch on, I've been doing a lot of work in my other sort of life, and, I never know what I want to be when I grow up still. So, on sort of recovery support and second chance hiring and those sort of things. And I just didn't know if, and I know there's limitations to who you can hire depending on their backgrounds, their criminal record, things like that. But do you plan on in your hiring policies? Do you plan on having any type of a second chance sort of equity program? I know the CCC encourages those programs through their it's Equity Works, Career Hub. So just sort of my thought and question on that kind of.
Yeah, I think we'll do something similar that I slightly touched on, but in addition to the diversity plan, we do give priority to social equity applicants. I'm social equity myself, so we do hire people at that point. Fortunately, we've had good retention to date because we've been paying employees usually $2 to $4 more per hour on average, based on the state average, so that we can retain the employees. And like I said before, we offer the 75% for health and dental, so we try to take care of the employees up front, so there isn't a lot of turnover, and we actually don't have to rehire consistently.
Okay. All right. I guess any from the public have any comments they'd like to share while we're on this candidate? Okay, we're not doing Zoom, so all right. I guess, do you have anything further to add before you?
No, I don't think so. We appreciate the time, and Yeah, no, unless there's anything else, I think we're all set.
Well, thank you for coming, and
Thank
we
you.
will
Thank you.
move on to our next candidate. Thank you.
Nice job.
All right. So our next candidate up is Canna Retail LLC, location not submitted as of yet. Same thing, adult use marijuana retail establishment. You have your information right here.
If you want to, if you could point this way, see if it'll.
Sorry, just moved actually. I'm a little delayed. Is it a little delayed?
All right, whenever you're ready. Let's go.
All set? Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, fellow board and staff members. My name is Jordan T. Gomes, and I am the principal of Canal Retail. Joined with me today is my advisor and colleague, Mr. David Rabinovitz, and I'd like to begin with some background information about myself. I'm a lifelong native of East Wareham, right on the Buzzards Bay line. And though Bourne and Wareham are separate municipalities, growing up so close, it was always considered one big community. My first movie that I saw was actually at the Buzzards Bay movie theater, right on Main Street.
Me too.
Sure, we're all
So
familiar.
was my daughter's.
So was mine.
And I also have fond memories of the annual Scallop Festival. And even spending summers with friends from both Wareham and Bourne attending the championship basketball camp hosted at Mass Maritime. I graduated from Wareham High in 2009, and my family roots are in this community. 15 years later, I still live here, and I'm proud to call this community home. Recently, I've applied for a position with the town of Wareham's Cultural Council as a committee member, and I believe it is important to contribute to the positive impact of the community. Now, Canal Retail is a social equity business, and I am a social equity program participant. Now, one of the benefits of the program is that the state provides coursework. Now, I was accepted into the third cohort, and over a year and a half, I've completed over 58 courses and over 350 hours of coursework. These resources are provided through live courses and also recorded sessions that are available for later review. And that's actually how I met David. David and his partner were initial instructors of the social equity program. And though I never had a chance to take any of the courses taught by David, majority of the business classes available were taught by David and his partner. I'm extremely grateful for the resources that this program has provided. So here's a list of topics that we'll be discussing today, and I wanted to keep the presentation brief because majority of this information is available in the application packet, and also David and myself wanted to make sure we had enough time to get any dialogue or field any questions that the board would like to discuss. So let's begin with the project overview. Canal Retail is a local, small marijuana dispensary, delivery operation, and medical retail. I'll speak a little more to that in a moment. But also, Canal Retail is pre-certified for a delivery license. Now, pre-certification means that I had to submit materials, including my background information and standard operating procedures that have already been reviewed and approved by the commission. Now, as to medical, when legislature allows standalone medical retail licenses, we intend to apply immediately. And once the de-integration of medical is finalized, the rumor is that the commission will reserve these licenses specifically for social equity program participants for an exclusivity period, just as they did with delivery. Next, we'd like to discuss our local hiring plan and a couple main components of our hiring plan, our diversity, and the emphasis of hiring local employees. Now, as to diversity, it is extremely important to have a well-diverse business environment. I myself am Cape Verdean of African American descent, and I understand. As to the emphasis of hiring local employees, it is the role and goal of a local business to provide these jobs and opportunities for the local community. Also, hiring local employees may serve as great ambassadors for the business, strengthening those bonds and fostering those relationships between the community. Also, local employees have the benefit of a shorter commute, which ultimately results in a higher staffing dependability. Now, next, we'd like to discuss the current market conditions, and I'd like to refer to David to provide you with a more in-depth explanation.
Thank you, Jordan, and thank you, board members, for hosting us today. My name's David Rabinovitz. I'll just give you a very, very quick background. I got into cannabis totally by accident, inadvertently in December 2010. In 2018, I jumped in full-time. My partner and I picked up a contract with the Cannabis Control Commission for the Social Equity Training Program. We were trainers for the first 2 cohorts. By the second cohort, they had advanced us to the lead business trainer. And because the second cohort took place during COVID, most of the sessions were recorded and they built a library. So most of the business courses are what we had put together. Currently, we're technical advisors to the City of Austin's Social Equity Program. I live in Plainville. I'm a member of the Finance Committee and the Master Planning Committee, so usually at these kind of presentations on your side of the table. Plainville's about half the size of Bourne. I'm also a 30-year PanMass volunteer, so while I don't have much of a connection to Bourne, the first Saturday, I'm jumping up and down on trucks, reloading things, that sort of thing. What we want to talk about is we watched and listened to the 2024 board interviews with the candidates, and we made notes because we heard a lot of recurring questions. One of let me make sure I can run this properly. Here we go. So common questions we heard, we have listed, and then we want to talk about the market size, because I think that's very important. It tends to get skipped in most of these kind of presentations. So first, we heard a lot of questions about product sales. From the Cannabis Control Commission, here's some recent data. Since 2018, about 42% of all sales are flower. That's right across the state for all operators. There may be minor variations from operator to operator, but this is generally the breakdown. Followed by vape products, pre-rolls, edibles, and everything behind that is less than 10%. So I suspect that's what that's what Jordan will experience in the store. Those are the kind of products he'll likely be carrying. Next, we wanted to talk about the retail license count, because we picked up from the videos some questions about that. As of December 23, 2024, there were 369 active unexpired retail licenses. 16 of those were held by Social Equity, 20 by Economic Empowerment. The takeaway from this is less than 10% of all the active retail licenses are held by folks from Social Equity or Economic Empowerment. They've struggled to get any kind of traction in the industry. Now, let's talk a little bit about pricing. This is also from the Cannabis Control Commission, and that chart shows you what's happened to pricing. And as I remember from last fall's interviews, Madam Chair, you had visited quite a few dispensaries and you had a number of questions about pricing. So here's some numbers that I think you'll find interesting. In January of 2021, the average price for a gram of flour was $14.20. Now that includes high quality, which is more expensive, along with what they call value product, which is really the bottom of the barrel. 4 1/3 years later, April of 2025, that's down to $3.31. Now the takeaway here, and that doesn't include inflation, so the takeaway is prices of cannabis have dropped 70% in a little over 4 years, and when you factor in inflation, it's more like 81%. If we look at the size of the Massachusetts market, you can see the adult sales numbers on the left. We added in population numbers to get to per capita spending. That's important if you want to size a market. You need to have a sense of what the average spend is. Not the average cart, but what the average person spends in a cannabis store. And if you were to use the average price per gram, and this is a very imperfect way to look at this, but you'll see the proxy for the pound sold. notice how sales aren't creeping up terribly fast. The price is going down, which means that the volume needs to be going up. What's keeping the industry afloat right now is the gain in consumer acceptance. More people are coming in to buy product. They may be spending a little bit more, but in general, the prices are going down. Now we want to take a look at a local map of southeastern Massachusetts as to places you can acquire cannabis. The oval at the top is Plymouth. You'll see there's a store near downtown Plymouth, and there's two up more towards North Plymouth. And then above that in Kingston, they've got stores as well. The center oval is Miles Standish. Very few people live in Miles Standish, and I don't think they admit to it. The bottom oval is effectively Wareham. Those 4 red dots represent 3 retail stores and 1 home delivery operation. The one with the circle and the highlight is the home delivery operation. Those folks function like a mini Amazon warehouse. They buy product, warehouse it, take orders in online, fulfill the orders, and deliver to the consumer's home. The one with the X is the social equity store in Wareham. They closed in April. So Wareham now only has 2 stores. And I think well, let me go to the Bourne market opportunity, and then I'll make the point. So we looked at the Bourne market, and we looked at all the communities around Bourne. We looked up the population levels. Jordan and I sat down, and we had some discussions, and we were trying to estimate a low and a high of how much, not one store, but the 3 stores in Bourne could capture those populations. What we came up with was an estimate at the $228.65 per capita that the market opportunity is probably around 7.5 to 10.5 million. We then found some online software, mapping software, that would allow us to draw a border. We captured some of Wareham, all of Bourne, some of South Plymouth, some of Sandwich, and a piece of Falmouth. And that came up to, the software told us in that border that we had drawn, there's about 35,000 people, which brings it to an $8 million market opportunity. And I think that's probably pretty close. I've tracked sales in this market going back to about 2019, 2020. The average store at one point was generating $13 million a year. Right now, the average store, end of last year, was down to about $4 million a year. Right, so there's been a big drop. If we look at local purchasing in Bourne, there's 20,500 residents. At an average per capita spend of $228, that's about $4.7 million. What that means is if you look at the spending of Bourne residents, if they have access to convenient purchasing, they will probably spend about $4.7 million. So to get above 4.7, it means you have to be marketing to adjoining communities and pulling those customers in, because it's only a limited amount of revenue that's going to go on. Now, I think one of the important takeaways is Wareham has 23,300 residents. To the west of Wareham is Rochester, 5,700 residents, dry town as to cannabis. To the east is Bourne, 20,500 residents, dry town. You don't have any stores here. And yet, trade routes with 23,000 people in Wareham and 2 adjoining communities that were dry could only support 2 stores, and their 1 social equity store closed in April. So the takeaway from this is a large store with a substantial build-out cost likely will not be able to compete or survive long-term. That's why in the application, Jordan emphasizes what he's looking for is a small store. And the biggest expenses for a marijuana operator on the retail side is carrying costs and build-out, because as you saw from these folks, it's a long, long journey to go from when you first find the location to getting municipal approval to getting the provisional license, the final license, and commencing operations. I'm well familiar with a store in Boston. They spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on hold fees just to get to that point. So I don't believe anybody who spends too much money in a market with this much competition and surrounded by communities that already have retail, it's going to last long term. You were asking questions about why stores close up, or I'm not sure which of you. Okay, Mr. Meyer. So they close up for 2 reasons. Number one, crazy cost for facilities. There was a store in Lynn that was paying $12,500 as a base amount for a 2,000 square foot store in Lynn, right? There was a store, in fact, there was a store offered for free, $0. They would give you the store and the keys, and it sat at the entrance, the main entrance to UMass Amherst. That was 2 years ago. They couldn't get anybody to take the store off their hands for free. They had signed a crazy lease, converted a bar and grill into a cannabis store, so it was way too big, and now they were paying a huge amount of rent. I think it was $30,000 or $45,000 a month. It was absolutely crazy. They couldn't find anybody who would take it for free. And I was up there the other day, and the store is still closed. So we're very focused on the economics of this has to be, for the third store, you have 2 stores now. One is redoing a car wash. The other one's redoing Friendly's. The Friendly's store, if you go down and poke in the window, which we did, what, Sunday, was it? I mean, it looks like their demo work is almost done, but they're still going to have a lot of money in there to rebuild that. And big build-out costs are like a boat anchor. You're in an industry where the prices are coming down. Businesses survive not on their revenue, they survive on their gross profit. So if you buy something for $10, sell it for $20, you have a $10 gross profit that has to pay all your bills and the exorbitant taxes in this industry. Well, if the price gets cut in half, you have to sell twice as much of that just to maintain the same gross profit. So that's why we're very focused on the small store. I'll now hand it back to Jordan, who's going to talk about being a responsible operator.
Thank you, David. Now here, we have some key points that we believe make a responsible operator. Now as to entry, the state requires that all dispensaries visually inspect a customer's ID twice. First, before entering the business and when entering the business, and then second, at the bud tender station before purchasing product. Now, due to our location, we expect to have a large amount of out-of-state vacationers and tourists, and where we intend to go above the regulatory requirements is that we will carry a national and international ID manual in order to validate and verify all out-of-state IDs. Also, we'll be using electronic scanning devices. And once we get to that point in the process and have further discussions with our security vendors and other existing operators to get the pros and cons, we'll ultimately be deciding between one of the 2 devices that are available. Here's an example of the ID manuals. And here's an example of one of the electronic devices. This is a handheld device where the employee manually scans the customer's ID, ensuring that all the information is accurate and that no tampering has occurred. Here's another example of more of a stationary electronic device where the employee inserts the customer's ID, scanning the information for accuracy and ensuring that no tampering has occurred. As to diversion generally pertains to theft. And due to the state requirements that all regulated products be kept out of the reach of customers, shoplifting is generally a low risk. Now, a risk that we may face is employee theft. And an example of that would be an employee either putting the wrong product or too much product in an order, whether that be by mistake or intentionally. This is still generalized as employee theft. And due to our security and surveillance, also a minimum of 90-day video storage and regularly conducted audits of our inventory, we'll be able to identify, track, and reconcile any discrepancy that occurs. Now, before we get into and touch upon advertisement, if the board doesn't mind, we have a couple examples of some packaging of products that we'd like to show you. Yeah, don't. They're all empty products, but these are examples of actual existing packaging that we have in our market. And as to advertising, the regulations are clear and strict.
I sniffed it.
There should be no advertisement of any medical images, images of the plant, or images appealing to persons under the age of 21. Also, any advertisement shall include at least 2 of the following warnings, and here we've listed the warning statements, but as, again, all this information is available in our application packet, so I'm not going to read through it all. But also, if you can see with your examples, those packagings carry warning labels and also labels to verify all the testing requirements and also to distinct where the dispensary is carrying that product. And here are some examples of those identical warning labels. that you would find on. Now, as to packaging, again, the regulations are clear and strict. And again, this information is available in our application, so I'm not going to read through all of it. But to summarize, imitating or having any semblance to any existing branded consumer products, including food and beverages, that do not contain marijuana is strictly prohibited. Sorry, bear with me. I don't know. Maybe it's delayed. There we go. So here we have a couple examples of some pretty recognizable brands that we're all familiar with on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side are those imitated prohibited products, and you can see how similar they really are. Here's another example of a pretty familiar coffee brand, that popular coffee brand that we're all familiar with. And another image here always strikes a nerve because the prohibited products packaging on the bottom is almost identical to the original candy products packaging. And if this product was to ever get into the possession of a minor, it would be extremely difficult to tell the difference between the two. That's why regulations for packaging are so strict.
It should be.
Now, as to security, the requirements are set at an exceptionally high bar, and simply maintaining them is a task. We intend to comply. As I mentioned, our cameras must cover every inch of the store, including the vault and exterior of the facility, and we must have a minimum of 90 days of video storage. Now, where we intend to exceed those expectations is purchasing higher resolution cameras and possibly adding additional cameras to the exterior of the facility with input from the Chief of Police for preferences. Now, the cannabis industry is extremely complex and regulated. And I've read these regulations from cover to cover twice. Most recently, I went back and reviewed anything pertaining to retail and delivery. My duty as an owner is to know the rules. It is my responsibility as an owner and operator, if a situation is to ever occur, to have a clear understanding of the regulations. Not my attorney, not my advisor. You know, actually, when I first met David, one of the first things he asked me was, have I read the regulations? And I told him, yes, thanks to you. He then said at how amazed he was at how many SE applicants neglected to read the regulations because of the material being too dense or too time-consuming. Then he says, how can an owner expect to run a business and not know the regulations? Now, I may not have these regulations memorized, but I can tell you where to find them. And my role as a local small owner is to operate at a level that's not only best for the business, but best for the community that I serve. Thank you for your time and consideration. And at this time, David and myself would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, David. All right. Very good. Moving along quite nicely. We appreciate that. So I will start, and again, start with the select board and go around and see who might want to start with questions or comments first. Maybe I'll start on this side and go with, if you had any, Jean, maybe first.
Start with someone else.
Let's start with someone else first. Peter? I got you last time. I might as well put you on the spot this time.
Let's start with someone else.
All right. MJ? MJ always has questions. We know she's got some prepared.
Well, actually, I have a comment first. I thought that your application was unique in the thoughtful answers that you gave about in response to the questions and the template. I mean, you were you really demonstrated that you understand what you're doing and why you're doing that. And I thought it was that was really good.
Thank you.
I think you're almost the quintessential social equity candidate. You have experienced what they're looking for. You can benefit from the program that they're offering. I just thought you gave really good examples. And actually, one of the things I learned was that delivery was now available in Bourne, which I really didn't understand before, because before, when we had a ban on cannabis, there was no delivery in Bourne. But now that we do not have the ban, there is delivery allowed in Bourne. So that was a learning moment for me. So with your, I don't totally understand the delivery process. But if you had a retail store, are you able to deliver also from the store, or is that a totally separate thing?
Can deliver directly from the store.
Absolutely.
Right, in fact, I think anybody in this room who's applying can deliver from the store because they're all social equities. They all qualify for a delivery. Most likely a courier, but it could be what's also called a delivery operator. The courier, think of it like Uber Eats. They get somebody else's product and they deliver it, or their own. And the delivery operator, think of it like Amazon. It's like they have their own product, they're making their own sales.
So one of the things that I did, and I learned through this process, I've done a lot of research, and, things come up. So I don't understand the regulations about medical. It would seem to be conflicting whether medical product could be delivered or not.
They have to be. Currently, the way the program works now is the medical license is one piece of paper, right? Like, these folks have got multiple licenses, right? So if they want to grow, they need a cultivation license. If they want to process, they need a manufacturing license. If they want to retail, they need a retail license. If they want to deliver, they need a delivery endorsement or a delivery license. The way the medical program was set up, it's one license. Much higher fee, but just one license, and you have to grow it, process, manufacture, retail it, and home deliver it. And one of the problems has been that medical stores, as soon as adult use came into play, the medicals saw their sales go down very quickly. And medical stores have closed up, so the folks who really rely on medical have complained that it's almost a desert in some areas. And nobody wants to get into medical, there's no money in it. And it's obviously much more expensive because it's got to be fully integrated. So the legislatures, I think we talked about it in the application.
Yes,
they have the legislation finally pending to break up the medical licenses, so it'll now be retail-only medical, manufacturing-only medical, cultivation-only medical, that sort of thing. And Jordan's intention is to apply for the retail-only medical as soon as the license is available.
Thank you. And that deintegration
The
was in your,
deintegration-
in your
Correct,
application.
correct. So the
was
commission
new, so.
intends to hopefully reserve these licenses specifically for social equity.
So those are my comments.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, you got to have some good ones for us.
Somebody to go around and see, anyone else?
Sure.
Go ahead, Mary. Marie's up.
So target points for me are, and it is a highly regulated industry, and you have to check up a lot of boxes, right?
Yes.
What I can appreciate is what you do above and beyond, because everyone who comes into this industry can hit the target, can hit the regulation targets.
Absolutely.
So things like, this international scanning,
The ID
national,
manuals,
the
yeah.
ID,
Right.
even in your security systems, not just doing the bare minimum of cameras that, qualify under the regulations, you're going above and beyond.
Exactly.
Can you talk a little bit about the community outreach? Okay, so obviously revenue is going to have a positive impact on our community, but what else is in your plan to positively impact this community?
Well, that's a great question. That's a great.
Go ahead.
What I was going to say is that in addition to providing the job creations and the opportunities, it's also our approach to be direct and transparent as an operator. So the goal is to be a business that the community can ultimately trust and rely on to be able to serve. And if David has a couple more points that he'd like to add to it.
A number of operators do community-focused events. They'll have cleanup days, or in the spring, when Earth Day is, they'll put together teams to do cleanups depending upon, whether they're in a city or they're out in a suburban area. And I would expect that Jordan will be doing those kind of things as well. Also, cannabis stores are destination stores. The way the legislation works is, generally speaking, you have 20% the number of alcohol retailers, right? Because that's the way the licensing works. It's based upon the carry out alcohol licenses. And almost all of those, there's probably a half a dozen throughout the state that are actually bakers or chocolatiers that are infusing their goods with alcohol, rum cake or infused chocolate. But besides that, it is small convenience stores that have beer and wine coolers. A few years ago, there was a big dust-up with Cumberland Farms. They'd been sold to a group out of the country, and they were looking to make a whole new class of licenses that would have a much higher limit. The gist was, I think that you can have 9, I forget if it's not up to 11 or 9 right now, alcohol licenses, which is why you don't see major brands covering the whole state. So the Cumberland Farms wanted to tip that on its head and be able to put a beer and wine cooler in all 206 Cumberland Farm stores across the state. That would have actually tipped it. Would have made a lot of communities have to offer more cannabis stores as a result. But and I'm getting a little bit off track here, but the ratio is that the cannabis stores are 20%, generally speaking, of the liquor stores, which makes them, or used to make them, much more of a destination. So businesses that were close by would pick up food, sandwiches, that type of thing. But there's such a proliferation of cannabis stores now. If you were actually to do the digging, you'd find that the state could have, I think it's about 520, 530 stores. When you look at the number of Section 15 licenses for carry-out liquor, we're at 369. And there was a list that was started a few years ago, because I took a little bit apart of that, of this tracking the number of stores that had closed. And all of a sudden, we hit a point where the gentleman who was running that list became the editor of the Worcester Business Journal. He stopped, and there were just too many to track. I mean, we're at that point now where there are generally more stores in most areas that have allowed it than are needed, as you could see what happened next door in Wareham with the closing of trade routes.
So, follow up.
Go ahead, please.
So I think every applicant last year and so far this year wants to organize community cleanups.
Because it's an easy
Our
thing to
town's
do.
not that dirty. And does this generate litter that you would have to organize community cleanups?
Here's the issue. Cannabis companies are best served to stay away from a few things. You have to put together a positive impact
Yes.
plan and have that approved by the commission. There was a group out in Western Massachusetts, I think it was probably 2 years ago. Their positive impact plan was rejected and trashed publicly. They're in the cannabis business. They were going to give a whole bunch of money to buy a drug-sniffing dog to the police department. That didn't go over too well. So there's some areas that cannabis companies, they need to shy away from. It's best to stay away from anything that has anything to do with youth, right?
Right. Right.
It limits, unless you're going to say, well, I'll stand here with a checkbook and I'll start writing out checks. I can tell you, if you go to Norton, they had an applicant that offered they were going to contribute $25,000 a year. By the time the applicant got open, the market had changed and they couldn't afford the $25,000 and had to go back and renegotiate it. So I think if you were to look at this across the state, the newer applicants are much more creative and they're being much more cautious about making promises that they're not going to be able to keep.
Well, I do know in Wareham that one of the retail stores does volunteer on the soccer fields and, like clean up and,
Right.
yeah.
Right, there you go. It's community cleanup. It's an easy thing to do that people can actually see and you can have an impact on.
Yeah.
Right, without the chances of
Right.
repercussions. And
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you? You done?
Yes, do you have any more?
I'm good.
Okay. I forgot to ask that question this one.
It might pop in my head, but
Okay, we've got time.
who
We're still
So-
pretty good here.
Yeah,
on our time.
Yeah. Being an econ theory person, studied in college, I totally appreciate your marketing and all the business input you gave us. And you spoke a lot about the big store and how you want to be a small store and what your targets are and everything. So how are you what's gonna draw people into your store? If you're going for like a boutique look or a small store attraction, what's your customer?
Efficiency.
Yes.
Efficiency. I met with, again, you're not in the business, you won't know all the names. Revel Clinics was a big name. They have since gone bust. And I met with the CEO of Rev Clinics probably 5 years ago, and I asked him, what would you do differently? And he said 2 things. Number one, we wouldn't make our stores look like spas. We'd make them much plainer. and we wouldn't have spent so much money on millwork, we would have gone to IKEA to buy our cabinets. Right? People spend a tremendous amount of money to make the inside of the store look really fancy. Customers don't want to hang there. They can't open up the product. They can't consume the product. So it's not like you walk into Starbucks, you get a cup of coffee, you grab something to eat, and you sit down and fire up on the internet. The stores are not set up that way to invite customers to hang around, use their internet, that sort of thing, especially with all the heightened security. So consumers want to get in and get out. And that's the reason, just like these folks, if you can drive customers to online orders, you generally will have an express line to one register, because if you can get those folks out, you're going to get them in and out of your store in under 2 minutes. A customer who knows what they want will probably be there for 2 to 3 minutes. The ones who, like when you get to Dunkin' Donuts and the person in front of you who's been there for 3 minutes waiting in line and they say, "What do you want?" and they go, those are your 8 to 15-minute customers, and you start to bring in people who don't really know anything about it, it's their first time, that's going to be a 15 to 20-minute time investment, right? So the online orders, you have less opportunity for upsell at the bud tender station, but boy, you can process them in and out really quickly, which increases your throughput. And one of the throughput problems, you're an economist, right? Or you took some, well, so one of your throughput problems is you have people standing
get a job
around,
and you can't
right?
theory
And
these
it's like
things.
unsold movie tickets.
Yeah.
You can't take the empty seats from yesterday and resell them tomorrow to make it up. And if you've got bud tenders standing around and you've got 4 bud tender stations, when it's not busy, you're paying a lot of money for bud tenders that are not generating revenue. So the more you can do to keep your bud tenders busy, the more profitable you'll become. So that means online orders come in when it's slow. You say to the bud tenders, okay, pick the orders, unless you have the model where you've got people out back who are fulfilling the orders and you got the 2-window type system. But the online orders are tremendous, because when people have downtime, they can be filling orders, and when the customers come in, you get them in and out really, really fast.
Okay. And Jordan, do you have any other experience in the industry in Mass or anywhere else? I know you've done a lot of studying.
I've done a lot of studying, and my main industry experience comes from the resources that are provided through the Social Equity Program. I am also a UPS driver as my regular career, so it's kind of difficult to navigate the two, but this has always been a passion of mine, and once I identified the opportunity to join the program and learn as much as I possibly can, it has resulted in leading me here before you today and having the support and kindness and courtesy of Mr. David Rabinovich to support in my endeavors. So,
I can tell you, he's been at it for a while. I mean, he called me, it was over a year ago. It must have been early last summer. And then you may recall, we appeared before you last year. We've spent, in the spring, we spent a couple of days, a couple of Saturdays just driving around through town. We spoke to Mr.
Chu.
Mr. Chu
Yep.
at great location in the Rotary.
Phenomenal.
But that's going to cost a lot of money to tear out the interior of that place. We looked at TJ's.
Yep. Up on the Board Bridge approach. Yep.
That road has not had a lot of success for anything other than the Eastern Motel.
Right.
We looked at a lot of, he's been the tortoise. He's been slow and steady at this thing.
Good.
That's it.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Peter?
Education / or diversion. What are you going to do to keep people under the age of 21 from getting your product, and just educating the people about the benefits or the detriments of it?
Yep. Go ahead, David, if you want to. Yep. Sure.
Yeah, we'll each give you an answer on that. When you can't stop people from under 21 from getting the product, if there's somebody who is of age who is willing to buy the product and give it to them. That was like beer in the 1970s. I knew when I was in high school, there was one particular place in Stoughton, if you hung around there, even though you're a young teenager, 14, 15 years old, if you had $2, somebody would go in and get you a 6-pack. So that we can't do anything about. But what we can do something about is the underage kids get caught, and you can get the container. We're going to know whether it was one of ours. That's why we brought these samples in. You'll see the name of the retailer who sold the product is on there. And then from that, if we can, there are ways of using once the security systems are installed, the security vendor does a fair amount of training, and they teach you how to go through hours and hours and hours of video to find something very quickly, right? And hopefully we will be able to track down to determine who was actually the buyer of that product, or narrow it down in any event.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Thank you.
Good.
I thought you were going to ask us more market numbers. Last year, you were asking a lot of questions about numbers.
You never know.
You never know.
Good curveball, okay.
I mean, because I am going to watch the presentation again later on because I tend to think of things afterwards.
Well,
So I guess, but
if you have any questions post today,
Yep.
feel free to email Jordan, and we'd be glad to get you a response.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Through the town administrator.
Yeah, let's talk about that later. Please do not email
yeah, or exactly.
Do
And
appreciate
I guess,
your
you know, I'll
hard
finish.
effort.
I mean, I think a lot of my questions, again, you know, it's, I guess the beauty of being the chair, you get to hear a lot of your questions first and, or answered already. I think, you know, not having a location obviously isn't, you know, a concern because we'd want to make sure you'd have somewhere to operate from. I do agree with Ms. Mastrangelo, it's very unique, you know, your process and your thoughts here. And the delivery, that's something was sort of new to me as well, that, you know, we actually, a lot of us have to learn more about and look at as well. So I thank you for your presentation. I did really appreciate, you know, that you took the time to add in, you know, sort of the hours of, you know, Verilife, Nature's Medicine, sort of some of the other stores, what they're doing. And then the liquor stores as well. I was like, oh, that's some information we could have used last week's hearing.
But we wanted to make sure we got
That's
that.
still open.
So yeah, they're still open, but you know what I mean. You know, it was very good. I appreciated sort of some of those details you had in there, as well as some of the other presentations, some of the additions. So thank you. And if anyone from the public, does anyone else here in the room want to add? If not, then
Any final comments?
Any final comments from yourselves or the board?
Again, I appreciate all the continuous effort that everyone in the staff has contributed to this process. And like David and myself mentioned, if you have any other questions that come up, please feel free to reach out as without.
Through the town administrator.
We appreciate
listen
you.
and
We
I learn
appreciate
quickly.
you. We appreciate you so
We
much.
appreciate that.
Thank you
Excellent.
again,
Thank you.
Madam Chair. Thank you so much.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you. Very good, very good.
recess to 3 o'clock.
Do we want to do that, or?
So we did build in a time for a break. All of the applicants are here, so if we want to take a quick break, you can start before 3 o'clock. These are not published hearings.
All right, so if everybody's okay with that, I mean, we can take a break or we can keep going. It's completely, what's the board, pleasure of the board. Do you want to stand up, go to the bathroom?
Yeah, let's take a break.
All right, so why don't we take a 10-minute?
Sure.
Get this
Or
blended
when,
together.
or when we get all back together.
Yeah, once we're all back, we'll resume. Thank you. Back in the room, and our next candidate that we will be hearing from is scheduled for 3, but we can start early and maybe get you all home a little bit early for dinner this evening. Is NLM, Inc., DBA, doing business as Cape Cod Dispensary, 304 Main Street, again, adult use marijuana retail establishment. And you have the floor. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the board. My name is Valerio Romano. I'm the attorney and will be compliance officer for NLM, hopefully DBA, Cape Cod Dispensary. You may remember me from the last time around. Fortunately, this group snapped me up first for this go around, and I'm really happy they did. We have a fantastic location at 304 Main Street. And we'll hear a little bit more about that from our extremely local team that you may know. And we're also well funded, and we're ready to go. We have fantastic experience as well. So if we're fortunate enough to be awarded a host community agreement, we will be off to the races, and we may be open sooner than at least one of the ones that you provided a host community agreement to last time. We have all the team and experience possible. So we have Chris Vining, who's the president, owner, operator. He's the social equity piece. He operates a dispensary. He'll talk a little bit about Nicole McCarthy, and Steve Perkins, Jeff Perkins, Barbara Pryor, Dennis Woodside's our security consultant. You may have heard of him, and Steve McCarthy also. So we have a robust local team as well as a lot of cannabis industry experience. Chris Vining is our verified social equity participant with the Cannabis Control Commission, who operates a dispensary in Somerville. We have the Perkins brothers, who have vertically integrated cultivation, product manufacturing, and 3 retailers operate medical in Fitchburg, and also will be opening another medical license. As opposed to people abandoning medical, they're actually embracing it, and they'll be soon opening another medical license, and they'll talk to you a little bit about that as well. So we are on the medical train. As far as, just quickly, just because it's in my head, delivery as well. Anybody before you will be delivering as well. So we have the retail experience, we'll be bringing medical as well, and we'll be doing delivery as well. With the Pryors, we'll be providing the financing. We have $1.25 million ready to go, which is just basically a retail rehab and striping and cleaning up the parking lot. So it's well within our budget. On an executive management team, we have Chris Vining. Chris, there you are.
Hello, thank you. My name is Chris Vining. I'm the owner-operator of the Goods Community Cannabis, which is a licensed retailer in Davis Square, Somerville. We've been operating since the end of 2022, but about 3 years before that is when the journey began for us. As an independent owner-operator in the cannabis retail space in Massachusetts, there are 2 things that are incredibly important for the success of these businesses. The first is going to be location. You need to be highly visible. These are businesses that need to integrate themselves into traditional retail environments, and I believe that this application shows that the site that we have selected does. The other is integrity. You need to do what you say what you do, and do what you say in this space. And we see in the globe regularly that there are a lot of bad actors in the space that have opened businesses that have gone under. We are well positioned to not be one of those, especially with the operational background in Davis Square, Somerville, and through the AMP team. I think I will now pass it over to...
So Nicole McCarthy, you may know, she's born and raised in Bourne. She was a multi-unit franchise owner, Edible Arrangements, which has been in some local communities around here. This is a Bourne team. Last time she was the leader of the team, but given the social equity piece and the fact that the Perkins brothers had already known Chris, they had decided to put together this all-star team of cannabis people, and unfortunately I was able to be part of it as well. So with Nicole and Steve, her husband, they have strong local ties, and Steve will be talking to you in a minute. Do you want to talk a little bit about you and your brother?
Sure. I'm Steve Perkins. I'm the current CEO, and really when we say CEO, I'm the CEO, but I'm really the general manager of Atlantic Medicinal Partners. We're a seed to sale operator in Fitchburg, Brockton, and Salem, Massachusetts. I'm excited to be back in front of all of you again today. I feel like last time maybe we didn't hammer home the experience that we bring to the table. We actually hired Valerio for the first time the day after Election Day of 2016. We were probably some of his first clients in the state. We entered under the medical program. Recreational had only been voted on. We only knew it was coming at the time. We built a 10,000 square foot grow in Fitchburg that is under the same roof as our first medical and recreational dispensary. We then opened a recreational dispensary in Brockton, Massachusetts, and then a recreational dispensary in Salem, Massachusetts. We're currently have the HCA. It took almost 2 years to get an HCA for medical out of Salem, Mass. And we are now in the process of adding medical while others are kind of deleting medical from their business plan. So we fully embrace the medical program, as Val and I believe one of the other groups touched on. Hopefully this the whole medical regulation is going to change, and soon every recreational dispensary will be able to sell medical products, so as long as the recreational local zoning is the same as the medical, which I believe it is. The great news about AMP and AMP products and other products we carry, AMP produces medical gummies, medical tinctures, medical edibles, dosed higher to help our patients. Should that medical regulation change, those products would be available to patients who use these products as medicine in the Bourne location as Cape Cod dispensary. What we do in Fitchburg is we cultivate and produce all of our products under what you call a medical tag. So we are deeply embedded into the medical program, as that is part of our process. I touched on that I'm the CEO, but really as the general manager, I'm in Fitchburg 4 to 5 days a week. I'm responsible for paychecks and feeding over 80 employees' families on a weekly basis. We have employees that grow plants, we have employees retail employees, kitchen staff, lab staff, and everybody in between. We're passionate about the industry, and we've been growing since 2020. And I can tell you that now with Chris on board, who's our equity component that operates a very successful urban setting dispensary, I believe we've added even more experience to the team. My brother Jeff, who in the interest of time, I'm not going to bring up, but Jeff handles the marketing, the compliance, and a lot of the other operational components of AMP. And while we're minority owners in Cape Cod Dispensary, minority share owners, we are excited to bring the expertise to the team that we have here.
And then Steve touched on Jeff's experience. They work together. They're almost, and then we have on our executive management team, we have Steve McCarthy, who is also president, 1975, year after I was born to the present. He's CEO of another multi-unit franchise, Duncan's, the Gray Gables Market, Edible Arrangements also. Steve, I mean, we've got a hyper-local team here. And I feel like for Bourne, you know, we have the main pieces that matter, and we can touch a little bit. If you look in our application, we talked about all the different scoring criteria and summary in sort of the cover area of our application, but they're a really hyper-local team. And then Barbara Pryor, they're the capital contributor group, so they're funding 1.25 million committed, ready to go for, which is what essentially is a retail build-out. So we'll be able to get open right away. Like I said, we have the engineers, the architects. In my experience, I was formerly the chair of the Conservation Commission in Cohasset. Just left when I moved to Hull. I've obtained also, I know where we are because we're not on MacArthur, we're actually also subject to special permit and site plan review, but we'll knock it out with the planning board, the special permit granting authority for cannabis dispensaries and other cannabis businesses. I can't even count the number of special permits that I've gone through the process with, so we will be off to the races immediately if we're fortunate enough to be awarded a host community agreement from the town. So we're going to be locally largely owned. locally operated, provide jobs to Bourne residents, local job fairs, advertise in local papers when we hire, and just give back to the community through charitable giving, host community payments, other philanthropic giving, and obviously the local excise tax, which you can definitely count on. At a $4 million revenue, it's about 120 grand. $4 million is probably about conservative, but probably about right too. What some groups do is they, promise, $12, $13 million in revenue out of one store, but then it becomes tough to justify that when you get to permitting with what you're going to do with your traffic. So our numbers, based on the experience that we have, they coincide also with the ITE traffic data, which you'll see briefly. And it's just ITE data, but we don't know how many ultimately are going to be open, but you'll see. So we want to obviously ensure with our training, we want to ensure compliance with the regs. There's a bunch of different RVT trainers. We've used different ones with different businesses throughout the years. We'll have that. We'll apply it to all of our agents. We are committed to social equity. We have a 51% social equity owner who operates his own. And then we're going to keep keep compliance with responsible vendor training, 8 hours per year, et cetera. Within 90 days of hiring, you're going to get your 4+ hours of RBT basic core curriculum, and then your role-specific training if you're going to be somebody who's working on the sales floor or somebody who's working in inventory. Annual refresher of the 4 hours, and then advanced topics. We want to give people who work for us the opportunity to work in every aspect of the business should they want to move on themselves and open their own business. This is all about empowering the local community. There's some minutia here about the implementation of training. But essentially, we are going to make sure that all of our employees are able to spot people who are inebriated. If they come in, they're able to look at IDs, 50 state, and to the extent that international ID checking is available, we like that idea. We'll certainly do it. We also can get the book and check IDs against the book for anybody international. Obviously, the consequences of noncompliance, you're going to lose your job. We haven't had any issues like that at any of our dispensaries. But the key training topics for our agents: security, recognizing inebriated persons, uses of emergency systems. So if somebody pops in, and there's actually some sort of emergency, we'll be able to press our panic alarm button and work with local law enforcement, which fortunately we have the ex-police chief on our team, so we have a leg up on that. Sales limits, which are also tracked through Metric, the state seat-to-sale tracking program. And one of the things the Cannabis Control Commission does when they come and inspect your places is they'll check and make sure that you can't sell over a certain limit. And then even if you mix infused products in, you can't sell over that ounce. So we're training our employees on that. Prohibiting sales to minors. Obviously, no one under 21 is going to buy from us. But, one of the issues is, well, how do you keep, and we heard this question through the other ones, how do you keep somebody, what do you do to prevent diversion? So if our packaging is found in the hands of a minor, although, there's a limitation on what we're allowed to do to keep customer records, but let's say a customer signs up for our text messaging, or we're going to do whatever we can to track down who bought that package. We're going to make sure to do whatever we can to make sure that kids aren't getting cannabis. Unfortunately, it's sort of the way that I have 3 boys I'm raising in Massachusetts, and I was a kid once, and cannabis is kind of ubiquitous, right? It is what it is. But that was sort of the point of this program. I'm a co-author of the ballot initiative that legalized cannabis in Massachusetts. One of the many things I've done in this industry. All I do in my law practice is this kind of thing, cannabis licensing, whether it's state or local level. I don't do any criminal defense. I don't do any litigation. This is all we do. So the point of this was to make it kind of more like alcohol in the sense that it's really regulated. If you ask one of my teenage sons what's easier to get at your high school, weed or a bottle of vodka, vodka is harder to get than cannabis, even before legalization. And so the goal here was to get this regulated, get this taxed, get money back into the hands of the community so that we can educate people and make this a much more regulated program. And that's what our education materials do as well. So preventing diversion is a big deal for us, and we're going to make sure that we do whatever we can to, if any of our packaging is found in the hands of a minor, we're going to do what we can to track down who bought that. So Bourne follows the state-imposed buffer. Our location, I'm not going to belabor our location. We all know where 304 Main Street is. So we know the value of that location, and I know that Steve McCarthy is going to talk a little bit about that as well.
I'm good. I'll find it in there. Hi, Steve McCarthy, Pecasset, longtime resident and still part of this team that was here a year ago, but it's a little reformulated and I think better. We were looking for more experience, and with that, Chris, he brings that. But I really want to talk about the local side. Been here for longer than I want to say, but let me just get to my page here. Oh, it's up there. So, on the local side, you know, I'm old school. I'll read the paper every Friday, and I have a feel for what's going on in town. My dear bride Nicole will be on that Bourne residence page, and that's how she gets the information. You know, I won't go back all the way, but 35 years in Bourne, doing business. First opportunity was when we opened the Dunkin' Donuts down at 270 Main Street, Buzzards Bay. Now it's one house of pizza. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we started there and we did pretty well. We worked hard and it was okay. We've had, you know, success, and you know, with that gives you the ability to give back, and we found great opportunity with the Chamber of Commerce way back when. I don't know if you'll remember the old information booth at the Sagamore Rotary, but we sponsored that for many years. And another thing that, if you're here for a while, you'll remember the Scallop Festival. We used to have the booth over there. You know, great memories, but you know, things change. But I guess the point is, we're in a good location. It's built for success, and with success allows you to give back, and that's what we hope to do. And also, that location would be prime if we're so lucky. We would reach out to the chamber, and maybe it could be a little place for information, local business, restaurants, attractions. You know, I know they have the main office up here, but maybe down in the Rotary, it might be a nice place to give some information to the visitors. But that's a little bit of the detail about the local stuff. And then the piece of real estate, you know, we've been working with Benny for a year now, and you know, he hopes we can put something together, because it is a good spot, and we can make it a really nice spot and convenient for the locals. But we think, especially in Buzzards Bay, you know, the MODs were laid out, and it's almost like you've got over the bridge, you've got Sagamore, and you've got Buzzards Bay. And I think it's really important that something happens in Buzzards Bay, because come summertime, you know, the Buzzards Bay residents are not going to Sagamore, they're not going over the bridge, and if there's nothing in Buzzards Bay, they're going to Wareham or off Cape, and that revenue is gone. And if you live here, you know that's how it's going to be. So I think it's very important that something happens in Buzzards Bay, and that's why we like this location. Visibility is great. It's safe access. You're off the main road, and you've got your own entrance, and we've got plenty of parking over there. So, you know, I just think it's a perfect location for what we're talking about. And, you know, leasehold improvements, you know, we get the restaurant equipment out of there, and we get to work. So that's pretty much about the location. And then I'll let Steve talk about the ins and outs, or Val, just on the floor plan, but thank you.
Real quickly, just to, it's hard to go after a lifelong Bourne resident when it comes to location, but I can tell you guys have now sat through quite the number of cannabis presentations, and you're all hip to all of it. And Peter had a very good point during one of them about having 2 locations over on one side of the bridge. These stores, and I remember, and Val certainly remembers, when these stores opened with fanfare. They opened with porta potties, police details, crowd barriers, portable heaters if it was cold, live bands playing. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that a store in Bourne's going to do $11 million a year, because it's not. Stores with high population in bigger towns don't do $11 million a year. The $4 million we have projected that I believe the last presentation spoke on, our numbers fall in line with that gentleman. And Peter was very right in questioning two spots directly competing. One of our stores is in Brockton, competes with 9 or 10 other stores now. And that's with how many people live in Brockton. Think about how many people live in Bourne. It is extremely important, in my opinion, and hopefully yours, that you diversify geographically on the locations. The places don't stay in business. Some places haven't survived, and you really have to think about spreading them out. And I know Steve's trying to hammer that home, but as somebody that has run 3 stores and talked to almost everybody in the state, it's just not the way it used to be, and towns have to be very cognizant of the planning. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't want to belabor the floor plan. The main thing with the floor plan and an improvement that we have from the last time that this group appeared was we have a separate exit now. So we're going to have, if you could picture the 304 Main Street site, people aren't going to go in the front up the stairs anymore. That front will be closed off. That front door will be closed off. They'll still be able to access the building from the stairs. Let's say somebody wanted to walk up from the Chinese restaurant or something else, or walk up from the street, but you're going to actually come in and access it from the parking lot in the back. So we're going to fix up the pavement in the parking lot. We're going to strike 40 spots back there, which we have in our site plan, and you'll see another slide. And then there'll be a door on the left, which you'll be able to you can switch either one of these doors, door on the left or on the right. You're going to come in on the right, and you'll be able to go out the door on the left. So that's an update from the previous proposal that we had, was to have separate entrance and exits. So we think that adds a little bit to the security. Although there are plenty of stores in the Commonwealth with one door for entrance and exit. And then in here will be the man trap or the Sally port, where you'll check IDs. And then you also check ID at the point of sale. I don't want to belabor a lot of that because it's pretty much the same for most of these places. And after last year and then this year as well, most of the members, I think one new member, are versed in this. So. Anyway, yeah, so I don't want to belabor the floor plan layout. But if there's a question now, I saw the chair, or we can do it afterwards.
I just know the building inside, so I'm just trying to envision your plan as well.
Yeah, so it will be, I mean, there'll be the retail area, and then the back will be office space, just an ancillary office use. And then this will be actually also through here is where we'll take deliveries as well. So the deliveries won't come in the front; they'll come to that side door. That's if they're outside, there's that big
freezer. Yeah,
that big freezer. Yeah, that freezer's going.
Yeah.
So and we're going to fix up the facade, and we're going to get rid of all the other kitchen equipment that's inside.
Oh, it will.
And then this is where we'll have deliveries come in. And when delivery shows up, right, there's a manifest ahead of time, so we know that they're on their way. There's a manifest created. They'll check in, and if they have to come in, they'll be escorted by one of our agents because they won't be an agent for our dispensary. And then they'll be escorted out. The delivery will be, manifest will be checked with the purchase order, and it will be weighed or counted depending on exactly what it is under camera so we know that we have our inventory exactly even, nothing fell off the back of the truck, which hasn't happened, and to my knowledge, in Massachusetts, because the CCC does a really good job of staying on top of that. But that's the way deliveries will work and be fully compliant, even above and beyond.
So currently, if you're standing in the parking lot facing this building, the right side that's currently where the bar and some of that would be the store portion, and then the left side that would be the kitchen, that's the side that would be
Yeah, if you're
store.
standing in the upper parking lot.
Up in the, yes, and I
Yeah, exactly,
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
That's exactly right. And then around, there's actually a door there around the left.
Yeah, sure.
That freezer's right here.
There's a door that goes out, yeah, I know.
Yeah, that door will be for employees and for deliveries.
I gotcha, okay, thank you. Sorry to.
So just more, without belaboring the floor plan, it's essentially what we've just spoken about. And then we've done some exterior elevations to show that, we put in the work so far. They put in the work last year. We want to show that, we're serious and we're ready to go. So we've done some exterior elevations of what the outside and the side will look like. And then here's a site plan with the 40 stripe spots. And everybody knows the site. That's why I'm not belaboring the location. But I feel like, having done hundreds of these meetings over the years, this group is fantastic because we really have, I think what the fundamental pieces, I hope, and from looking at the RFA, is what Bourne's looking for. We have the local piece. We have social equity with experience. We have fantastic location with visibility that's going to bring more revenue to Bourne with an unused building, so we're going to revamp. And then we've got the financing to do it. So here's the proposed exterior rendering. Obviously, because we're not in that MacArthur stretch, we have to go through special permit and site plan review. So we're going to, work with the special permit granting authority, the planning board, to make sure that, our plans are, what the town wants. And that also goes for our hours of operation if the special permit granting authority has any input on that. So this is our proposed number of employees. We probably won't have 13 on site at any one time, depending, it's seasonal in the extent that on the off season, there'll be fewer customers, but we're going to be open and provide these jobs year round, right? And so when you add up the people that we need, it's about 13 people is what we hope. But you may not need them all the time. And then, so our hours, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., that's what we project, but we're going to work with the special permit granting authority if they have any input, the planning board, as to what hours they might like to see. But that's kind of what we're looking for, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then, so this lines up something with our traffic study, our customers per hour, May through October, 21 customers an hour. So we have 40 spots. So let's say if we have 10 employees there, we still have plenty of extra spots for our customers. At 21 customers, at 21 vehicle customers an hour, if you have, and our peak hour weekday, I think it was 24 cars per peak hour weekday. So our projected customers line up pretty well with what the ITE data says that one of these dispensaries is going to do. But these customers spend maybe on average 8 minutes in there. So that would give you, probably enough to do 100 customers an hour. Let's say we got really busy with the turnover. Like, people do tend to order online and then they go straight and they pick up their product. If people have questions, all of our, I hate the word bud tender. It's what everybody uses, but for some reason it just bugs me. But all of our retail employees will be versed in the methods of ingestion, the different forms of cannabis, the different active ingredients in cannabis. If somebody wants something, like my mom, who's in her 80s, never used cannabis in her life, but now likes these sleep gummies. They really help her sleep. She just doesn't sleep as well without them, so that somebody could talk to her about that. My dad uses topicals. He thinks cannabis and heroin are the same thing. He's an old school Italian guy, but now he likes topicals for, he's in his 80s and his joints hurt. So we'll have people who are educated in all these different aspects of the plant and of the different products that we may have available, and we'll be able to talk to people about them. And so those people might be in there for 15 minutes, but that's still at our 21 customers an hour. We're still, with our 40 spots, we still have plenty of parking.
Am I reading that $62?
So yeah, the average customer spend in the peak months, we have at $62, and that's an average ticket.
No, it's just the print small, even my glasses.
Oh,
on,
I'm
that's why
sorry. Yeah, I should have. I'm sorry. Yeah. So in the off months, we have 17 customers an hour is what we projected. This comes from running 4 different dispensaries, right? And also, thinking locally. And then the average ticket will be a little bit less at $54. And putting these numbers together is how we get to about the $4 million revenue figure, which is probably about right. But maybe if you give out 3 host community agreements, I mean, odds are one of them may not open. It's not going to be us because we have the experience, we have the money, we have the location, we have the team of engineers and construction and everything just to knock this thing out. Like I said, we could be open before one of the host community agreements you gave to last year. Again, what the basket assortment is, this is kind of like what people seem to get. Everybody likes flour still, right? And this is just sort of lays out what people are getting. 56% of the sales are probably going to be flour, and this comes from operating 4 dispensaries. So, we know what people are buying. This is what, experience gets you. Pre-rolls, about 20%, 19% vape products, and then edibles and concentrates, tinctures, and then accessories all below 5% of our sales, 5% or below. Retail cannabis, I'm not going to, belabor this too much.
You need to bring the microphone
Oh, I'm
with
sorry.
you.
Sorry about that. Retail. I usually speak so loud that everybody can hear me.
It's online, it's not in here.
Yes.
Good home.
Yeah, I'm with it. Retail cannabis, 21 and over. I'm not going to belabor this. I think you all know what this store is about. But one thing is that all products are independently lab tested. This goes for everybody, but it's important to note that there is a segregation. And so, I think a lab was recently in trouble in Massachusetts for cooking their books a little bit. We will work with independent labs and make sure that the certificates of analysis are available. Our packaging is child resistant, tamper proof, tamper evident is really more likely. No consumption allowed on site. We really have a wellness approach. As you heard from the team, we operate medical already, and we're opening more medical, right? So as soon as we're allowed to open medical here, whether it's a function of an amendment to state law that NLM will be able to operate medical in a non-vertically integrated manner, or if there's some other way that the minority owners can bring their medical experience, and that however state law changes to allow medical, we're going to hop right on it because that's what they're already doing. It's really the Cannabis Control Commission and industry protectionism that has killed medical. It's the vertical integration requirement. It costs a fortune to open cultivation, but it's also just licensing fees are much, much higher for medical. It makes absolutely no sense. And it's in industry protection. And this comes from somebody who opened, I think 4 of the first 11 medical dispensaries in Massachusetts were my clients. And so I understand the sort of the idea behind it, but what it is, it's hurting patients like my parents who use it for medical reasons, or people who use it for PTSD, veterans. So anyway, we really have this wellness approach to customers, and I think that's borne out by the fact that we are operate medical already. I'm not going to belabor any more of the location stuff. We're in the marijuana overlay district, 40 spots, far enough away from any setback requirement. Not going to belabor it. So we submitted our materials. In our application, we have a timeline to become operational, but we think if we are provided a host community agreement and we are able to get through this process, April, May of next year, you may have us providing cannabis to people in Bourne and providing jobs and revenue. There's our chosen. We obviously want to give back philanthropically. One of the things with your plan for positive impact that you have to submit to the Cannabis Control Commission is you have to submit an acceptance letter from whatever charity you choose. We really hope to partner with the Bourne Food Pantry if possible, but we have the local ties to pick somebody from different community groups in Bourne that need the money, and we just have to get them to accept it. There's some thing where it's cannabis money, we don't want to accept it. I never really understood that. If I would definitely take it if I was going to be able to help people. But so next, our community outreach hearing we would do again for Bourne so that we could get through the CCC. and continue to apply for any other local permitting. No one's gotten as many special permits as my clients have. We have a group with 4 open dispensaries, so we'll be able to get it knocked out. And then architectural review with the Cannabis Control Commission is what happens right after you get provisional license. So as you know, we can't submit to the CCC until we have an HCA. Once we have the HCA, we'll submit to the CCC. And then once you get provisional, which takes an actual vote of the commission, we'll submit for architectural review, but we already have the architectural review largely done. I've actually had a client who had approved architectural review, a dispensary I opened recently in Wellfleet, and he actually did the drawings himself, right? So they work with you. So benefits to Bourne, as local as it gets, jobs, philanthropic giving, the local excise tax, host community agreement fees, to the extent that they get proved up, we're going to pay them. And like the philanthropic giving, local wellness, this really wellness emphasis, medical approach, even though this will start out as an adult use cannabis retailer, marijuana retailer, that's what we're here for. Renovate and bring back that building. I was here once, and I think I actually met with the old police chief once a long time ago, before you actually had a process. And I ate at the restaurant where we're trying to site now. It was coming back to me. And so we're going to bring that place back to life. And it's got that great location and visibility. It's got that great pylon sign right on the Rotary, so people will know that we're right there. But it has the advantage of not having to pull into our driveway on the Rotary, right? So if you're exiting, you have to cut back across traffic unless you want to get on the northbound, or southbound. Actually, I think that loops around, right? It's got great entrance and exit, while at the same time, and have great visibility, but at the same time doesn't have our driveway right on the Rotary. So it's actually the best of every world when it comes to a potential location for this. And like Steve McCarthy said, you got to have one in Buzzards Bay if you're going to have one, and we love our location for Buzzards Bay. We wanted, trash pickup. I think that's gotten talked about. I know it's an easy thing to do.
5 litter pickups. We don't have that much litter.
Local Bourne charities, though, more importantly. So, like I said, the Bourne Food Pantry, any other charities that we can work with. These guys are going to do it efficiently, right? So I think Mr. Rabinovitz spoke well about the financial implications and the concerns, right? The ones that go out of business are the ones that borrowed money 4 years before opening at 18% interest and can't even pay the VIG on the money by the time they actually get open. I'm seeing.
You're approaching 30 minutes.
I was going to say, you're definitely.
Okay, so prevention of diversion I went over, but I'd like to let our security, your former police chief speak for a moment before I use up the rest of our time.
Well, the fact that Mr. Woodside's name's on it, it tells you something.
I don't miss this podium. Dennis Woodside, worked for the town of Bourne in the police department for over 33 years, last 10 as chief. Been retired for about 4.5 years. I was asked to consult on this project by the McCarthys. They really just wanted to pull the stops and look at their plan to try and offer any input that I may have. And I asked a lot of questions, and every question I asked, they had the answer for it. If it wasn't these guys, it was the group. So I know I have to be brief, so I know that's gonna. I know.
We're not at 45. We're only at 30. So.
Well, some of them don't like me to talk so much from the past. Just real briefly, really started to review the security plans, the safety and security of the building. It was pretty easy to do that. The building's basically going to be boxed out and then reformatted. Looking at what has to be done there, it's not significant to get that building where they want to get. State-of-the-art video, like everyone's doing, tied in the police department as they desire. The diversion prevention, it's kind of controlled by the CCC, on the packaging, keeping the packaging. I think if somebody finds their product somewhere, they're not buying it underage. The one thing I thought was really neat was when they came in, they do a 50 ID scanner, 50 state scanner for the ID. But in addition to that, and it was one of the questions I asked up in Brockton, is did they look at the ID? Because a lot of times you'd go to the bar and you'd see the doorman and he finds the ID and he's looking, he's trying to find the date of birth, he finds the date of birth, then he's trying to calculate, hey, is this person 21? So they're actually looking at it, looking at the actual picture of the person. Does it line up? Which I thought was pretty good. Their training plan was pretty good. They have a lot of training up in Brockton, maybe another location in here, including de-escalation of potential problems and customer conflicts. I reviewed the entire policy manual. I thought that was very comprehensive. I think Buzzards Bay, we talked about all the locations available within the district, and this building is, in my opinion, the best location out of all of them, really. It's the easiest one. The traffic impact, no matter what the study says, I don't even think you're going to notice any impact in traffic at that building whatsoever. Actually, I wound up looking at a lot more things than I was asked to do in the beginning, but it actually kind of got to become knowledgeable for me. And I was involved when the law passed. I was the chief, and I was asked to provide input on the legislation and how it was going to happen and the regulations. And it was overwhelming because the law, I think itself, was 117 pages or something like that. It was really mind-blowing. Anyways, I just thought this group is very strong, very experienced. Probably, I haven't found anyone more experienced than them. They're right up there. They know everything about the commission, the regulations, and that's really what I have to say on this. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. So I'm not going to belabor it. I know we're out of time. We want to have time for questions, but there'll be no on-site consumption, no odors, prepackaged cannabis that comes there, no loud noise. We're going to have, with site plan, with special permit, we'll make sure that any lighting, exterior lighting is down shielded, downcast, no light nuisance for the neighbors, et cetera. Building security, Chief Woodside just talked about that. Not going to belabor it. Security operations, ID checks, visitor logs. We're going to keep all the required logs. Secure our product in a vault on site. I think there we go. And so this is the last thing. We have operational dispensaries. If anybody would like to come from the select board, from any other municipal department, come on up, take a tour of one of our dispensaries. You could see our security. You could see exactly how we manage them. And that goes for our potential employees as well. When we hire somebody, their first day on the job is not going to be in this brand new dispensary here in Bourne. Their first day on the job is going to be in Fitchburg, or their first day of job is going to be in Brockton, or their first day on the job is going to be in Somerville. They're going to have an opportunity to work in another dispensary and be trained on site firsthand so that they know what's going on before they start work here. So we're going to have exemplary training. And so with that, we'd like to open it up to any questions. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so once again, I will go around to my fellow select board and see who wants to start with any questions or comments.
I will say
You're going to start? Okay, Peter, go right ahead.
it's more of a statement. I mean,
Statement, okay.
I mean, it is impressive with the team that's put together. The fact that you've got a retired police chief, he doesn't, for him to sign on to this, it means a lot. Just because he doesn't put his name on anything, so for him to put his name out there, it shows. So, and the McCarthy name has been big, for philanthropic for years. Very generous family, with their various other companies. They've given back to the community a lot. So it's, you can't, you can't, not say that they don't have a fixture in the community, so it's, and that goes a long way. I mean, all three of these applications so far, they've all been very dynamic, they've been very passionate, and in their own way, they've been very, they've made their points, and it's going to be a hard decision all the way around because, they really put their time and their sweat and equity into it. They each have their own benefits in their own way, so it's going to be a lot of soul search in this, when we do these ratings to see what's best for us.
Thank you. Yeah.
Can I
Jean?
go first?
Go ahead,
Well,
Jean. This time we'll
I
let
guess
Jean.
I want to hear a little bit more about any of your diversity plans, goals and objectives for promoting among minorities, and then what you would do with your business to create opportunities and benefits for the people that were impacted by prohibition of marijuana.
Disproportionately impacted by the war
So
on
we will
drugs.
have a diversity plan that will give hiring preferences towards people disproportionately impacted by the war on drugs. Additionally, with women and minorities that are interested in coming into the space. Something that I think about is the opportunity to work with a group like ours is to learn from the people who have done it, like myself and Steve. That's what I do in my own dispensary. I try to build people up from within, and I think that's what we will be able to do with this type of facility and these types of relationships, that we're going to create a population of people who have wide-ranging experience in the cannabis industry, who can choose to grow these jobs into careers like we have. And we will be diverse. We will take every measure to have the most diverse staff imaginable. But I think that it's really important to that second part, where we want to educate, we want to grow individuals in this industry, not just, and just like Valerio said, the bud tender, I hate that word. You're staff, and we're going to, I'm a staff at my store. We both wear the same shirt. So that's a long way to say we will have a very diverse and eclectic mix of individuals working in our shop.
It's also publishing in local papers to the extent that we can, and holding job fairs. I mean, there's requirements in Massachusetts and anywhere else, but in a legally non-discriminatory manner, we're going to do our best to have a diverse workforce, and that, I think that shows it does well for the business too, because it's inviting for the rest of the community.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anne Marie.
Sure.
Hey, one thing about your comments about the pickups, I think that's something that's really important about our group is those pre-existing relationships, so that we can find the avenues where our, corporate citizenship can have the most impact in Bourne. That's something that was really important. We were 3 years before we opened in Somerville. Chamber of Commerce, Respond, Homeless Coalition. We've been able to donate to them. They were ready to take our funds because they had that peace of mind, because we'd done the work. We keep showing up. And that's something that I just wanted to make sure I pointed out as we talk about community cleanups, because I agree with you. We can be more impactful. We can do better than just picking up litter that's may or may not even be there in a beautiful community like this.
I think so. So my question is, clearly you've had some success in the industry. What do you think that makes it so? Like, what are you doing that sets yourself up for success?
I will put an asterisk next to success. My business has been able to operate for 3 years and pay its bills. I individually am not a financial success in this industry. We continue to operate. We continue to pay our bills, pay our people. I think that we started about $22 an hour at my shop. So that, what has made us successful in my store? Caring. I live in Somerville. I work half mile away. As we've seen, Rev Clinics out of business, Air Wellness out of business, More coming out of business. Those aren't the local groups. I think that the key to the success of this will be the visibility in a main thoroughfare of this community, and that local component, because that matters. Having people who care as a part of the organization is critically important, and I think that will be paramount to our success.
Also, being smart about money. The tax implications with 280E and until that's fixed, you got to really be smart with your money to operate efficiently and not go out of business. So that's one of the things that this team brings is the years of experience doing this. I mean, putting your things in the right tax bucket. Not having a lot of overhead. Right, they haven't borrowed the money yet. Right, so there's no interest accruing on the debt. It will go to work once it's needed. So. So being smart with money too will get success. Oh, I'm sorry. Being smart with money will get you success. So being cognizant of 280E and not just burning cash on interest payments that don't exist. And they've been able to do that.
Any more? Anne Marie?
Good.
You good? All right. And MJ?
Yeah, my questions really revolve primarily around sort of the financing, but let's talk, Chris, about your role in the business, because you're hardly mentioned at all in the entity and business owner structure about how you're going to participate in the business and what you're actually going to do. Aside from owning 51%.
Yeah, absolutely. Much like my business now, I'm the leader. I lead by example. I'm on site regularly at my business that is in where the same town as I live in, and to really set the foundation for what I believe this organization can be. We can do great things in Bourne, and we need leaders that have proven track record of best practices. We could talk to anybody in the industry, in an industry rife with accounts payable or accounts receivable issues. My company has 0 past due debts to any of our supply vendors, and that doesn't come from anything other than my decide. I make it a priority to make sure that we're the best actor in this industry that we can be, and that is my role. Leadership.
And then my question about the financing, because it appears that most of the financing is coming from a home equity line and other loans. Is there cash or is it all?
Yeah, the backers, who happen to be my cousins, that is, where the money is coming from. And yeah, they have large real estate holding in Florida, and they've secured that and make it available as soon as it's needed.
Okay, thank you.
That's it?
I have one last question.
Yeah, go ahead, Peter.
So in closing, can you tell us why we should choose you?
I can't say that it's because we care more than anybody else, but we do. I've been working with this group for the last 6 months on this project, and I've never met people who have cared as much about Bourne as the individuals that are included in this group. And that I think, in a moment in an industry that is, it's only going to get worse. You're going to keep reading about these stores going out of business up in the other parts of the state. That it's really important that we have that local component with the proven track record that we have in this team.
So just quickly, before Mr. McCarthy finishes up, location is, I think, probably our strongest suit. Local team, which I think is what we're looking for. Experience in the cannabis industry, which would unparalleled. I mean, the other groups too have great experience, but it's certainly not more than we have. And financing. So we'll be able to get open at the great location with a good team, with a great team, with great experience.
All right.
Steve, did you want to say anything else?
You just said.
Well, there you go. Okay. All right, in the essence of time, I think we've gotten some of the questions answered.
It was 45 minutes now, I think.
And we've exceeded that. So thank you for the
so much.
presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. All right. Moving on, we have our final social equity candidate today, Medicine Man Solutions, LLC, doing business as Medicine Man Cannabis. The location is noted here as 4 Bridge Approach Street, adult use marijuana retail establishment.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Can we take 2 minutes? I had too much water.
Yes.
Oh, okay. We have to take just 2 moments. Peter has to run.
I just want to make sure, are we going to get these PowerPoints?
Yes, I'm saving them.
Okay,
Great,
thank
thank
you,
you.
because I need to review them. I can't even see all of them.
Go ahead. 2-minute break.
I'm sorry. Oh, okay, sorry. All right. In PDF.
Yes.
Okay.
I do have a PowerPoint.
And with the PDF, you just let me know when you want me to change the screen, I will. You won't be able to use the clicker.
All right. I think I have it.
Hopefully they're not today until he comes back. All right, let me see if I can forward you.
Sorry, just waiting for the team to show back up. Up, we got one. Here comes Peter.
Yeah, some people didn't take a break the first time.
I know, right? They should have gone the first time around. Exactly.
No, it's just drinking too much water.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, we'll actually, get through pretty well today.
I do apologize.
It's all right.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, I think our candidate step out.
Yeah.
He stepped out as
Yeah.
well.
I could have, yeah.
Oh, listen, man. Okay, here we go. Good timing.
This is good. I didn't want to be here till 5. There we go. Thank you.
Thank you for your patience.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity to present today.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Are we ready to begin?
We are ready
Yes.
to begin. Your presentation is up, and we're all set to go. Thank you.
Sorry, let me just.
Oh,
Oh,
almost.
I'm sorry.
I need this, but I don't.
Thank you.
My name is Haskell Kennedy. I'm here with Philip Smith and Jenny Roseman. We collectively represent Medicine Man Cannabis to open up a location located and sited at 4 Bourne Bridge Approach in Bourne, Massachusetts. We currently operate, Medicine Man currently operates a retail location in Taunton, Mass, located on Route 44 at 446 Winthrop Street in Taunton. We are currently looking to receive an HCA in Bourne, which is the starting point for what you need in order to move forward to eventually start a business and commence operations. We are 100% minority and veteran-owned social equity certified company. We're not 51%, we're not 20%. The people that you see here today are the people that you will see operating the business, not just when we start, not just next year, but every single year that the business actually operates. We have already completed the process to open a retail location in the state, so therefore we are very aware of the process and the fortitude and capital that it actually takes to get there. We are currently operational in Taunton with no loans, fully 100% privately funded We do not owe anyone any money, which will allow us at that location. The plan is to do the same thing here, which will allow us to position ourselves in order to offer the residents of Bourne and all the customers a fair price and offer them value and be able to still provide jobs, be able to support local organizations, and be able to have enough revenue to be able to survive in the economy. We are very knowledgeable and have demonstrated. Philip as well owns a production company. He was the first in the state as far as being allowed to deliver cannabis. He currently has a business that supplies somewhere between 60 and 100 cannabis businesses throughout the state with products. He's very knowledgeable through that process of knowing what it actually takes to have a successful retail business, because he's able to talk with owners of all different levels of financial situations that own dispensaries across the state, figuring out what are the nuances, what are the things that make one place successful and make and another one is struggling. Obviously, like the presenter said beforehand, one of the problems with the people that came in first, they borrowed a lot of money. You do not need $10 million to build out a retail location. My background, I'm also in the construction business. I hold a construction supervisor's license. I'm also a certified general real estate appraiser, licensed by the state of Massachusetts. I've been an investor. I've done extensive construction work, and we remodel houses, buy and sell, rent, and commercial properties all throughout the state. We'll be partnering, obviously, with Philip and Jenny, and they operate Freshly Baked, which is a social equity certified 100% veteran-owned company that operates out of Taunton. Could you switch to the next slide, please?
Yes.
I'll let Philip tell you a little bit about his background in Freshly Baked.
Thank you, Haskell. Thank you for letting us present today. Haskell was being very kind, talking about me. Freshly Baked was founded in 2018 by myself and my partner, Jenny Roseman. I'm an Iraq War service-connected disabled Iraq War combat veteran, and Jenny is a service-connected Air Force veteran, 9/11 first responder at the Pentagon. We started Freshly Baked to bring access to other veterans, affordable access, and to also bring diversity to the industry. You know, I got in here a little bit late, but I heard some folks talking about diversity in the industry, and there's only 3 black-owned manufacturing companies in the industry. We're one of them. There's very few female-owned manufacturing companies in the industry as well. It's been an uphill battle for us in the industry. A lot of people talk about equity and supporting equity, but it's not actually happening. There are, folks that have presented here today that have never supported me as a manufacturer, but there are folks here today that have supported me and I work with, and that's great to say. We were the first licensed home delivery company in the state. We went through all the hardships that everyone is using now to be successful, but it was very hard to launch that in the beginning. I'm also a big advocate for equity. I graduated in 2019 from the first social equity cohort. We also, Jenny this year graduated from the social equity company herself as well. Being from Taunton is a place of disproportionate impact. That's how we qualified for the program. Why am I working with Haskell? Haskell is one of the most stand-up guys that I've met in the industry. He's very knowledgeable, not only about cannabis, but about business in general. And Jenny and I have partnered with other folks that are in the industry, but we look for very specific things. And one of them is an understanding of the industry. I just heard that someone's raised $10 million. That's a lot of money to bring this in. Let's say for ourselves and Freshly Baked, we're debt-free. That's one of the things I was looking for in a partner. Haskell is debt-free. We don't have any loans. We are self-funded. And then we also qualified for the Social Equity Grant Fund that was given out this year. So we also got $500,000 from the Social Equity Grant Fund, which was amazing. That's something that I advocated for a while. I was actually one of the founding board members of the Social Equity Cannabis Trust Fund Advisory Board. I was put on that board by the governor. I had to step down because there potentially could have been a conflict of interest of me getting the money, so I did, to make sure that didn't affect the program at all. We're also very passionate about building pathways in the industry. It's very important for us to lift up brands, lift up other minorities, lift up females, anyone that's been disproportionately affected by the industry. We try to work with as best as we can. Like I said, Jenny is a graduate of the 2019 Social Equity cohort. Jenny brings a lot of leadership just in general. She's managed medical offices all around the country, so coming into cannabis was kind of like another step for her. And Jenny and I run the business today. We're a small company. We have 9 employees. Like Haskell said, like everyone who is here today will be involved in the business. I know in a lot of places, a lot of states, and a lot of cities, people come into these and then there's ownership, but then a year later, the ownership changes and those equity applicants are gone. And for Bourne to for Bourne to get money from the state, that business needs to have equity applicants involved. So I think that's something that the board should think about when they're looking at giving out a license. The Social Equity Program, like I said before, Jenny and I graduated 2019, Jenny this year. We both come from Taunton, a city of disproportionately impact. That's how we qualified. The Social Equity Program is still growing, and we're excited to see it still growing. And I've heard when the last folks were up here, I heard some questions talking about equity, and it seems like Bourne really does care about equity. It seems you guys are really, the fact that we're even, here today shows that you guys care about giving a license to a social equity company, and definitely someone that could run it and deserves it, and I think that would be us. Maybe we can change the slide.
Yep.
You keep going for me. Keep going there. Going. Talked about the Social Equity Program. Keep going for me, please. I mean, this is basically, these slides are talking about the Social Equity Program, the approval process, and what you guys can benefit from hosting a Social Equity Program. Applicant, which you guys know that by now. You keep going for me. Financial benefits to the town. The community impact fees, up to 3% of the gross annual sales, which you guys are familiar with. The local tax revenue, which you guys can put another 3% on there, that you're also familiar with. The additional social equity incentive, that money that the state's going to pay you guys for hosting social equity companies, I think is very important. And I think a lot of municipalities are realizing that, because people are coming into the industry with big dreams. And at first it was like, we'll take 3% of your revenue. Well, most dispensaries, they're barely surviving as it is. There is no money to give out. And Freshly Baked, when we first started, we were in a very similar situation. We didn't have the money to pay at 3%. It's a different situation now as the business has grown. But I think the way to go is hosting social equity companies so the state can just go ahead and give you guys that money. Can you switch to the next slide, please? Next one, please. Next one, Haskell's talked about the location. He'll be back up. Next one, please. Next one. Next one. Next one. I'm looking for security. Okay. Yeah. Haskell can come up and talk about the rendering and stuff. We'll start here. So the security plan. You've heard a lot of security plans. Everyone has to abide by the 935 CMR 500. We'll have video monitoring of the whole property, key fob, security panels, access at every point. Security guard will be at the front door checking IDs, making sure everyone is 21 or over before they come in. Also, if there's any issues in the parking lot, that security guard will also be there. If we needed to bring additional security from the parking lot, we would. And then license verification. Once you get to the counter, you have to show your ID to get in onto the sales floor, but then another ID just to at the register before before the transaction goes through. Version. No one under the age of 21 should be allowed in the dispensary. When we first get to the door, we'll be checking the ID there, and then when you get inside, even people can't bring their kids in there either. You know, a lot of times people want to bring their children in these places. You can't do that. All the cannabis will be stored in the vault under lock and key, security cameras, everything that comes out, you know, through metric. And, you know, like House said, you know, we're a manufacturer, so we do a lot of the back end. You know, a lot of those things need to be, you know, metric, those products need to be transferred to the sales floor once they go out there. If they go back to the vault, they need to be transferred. It's very intricate on what the CCC is mandating people to do. You can go to the next one. The same thing here, you know, zero tolerance for any theft. You know, the CCC takes that seriously. We take that seriously. At Freshly Baked, we haven't had any issues like that from our employees, but it's something that you always need to be aware of. You know, failure to comply with that can mean big problems with the CCC, and no one wants to end up losing their license. And you know, Medicine Man and you know the team will be conducting reviews of the policies and packaging on an ongoing basis. As a manufacturer, all of our stuff is in child-resistant packaging. That's mandated by the 935 CMR 500. Next one, please. And that's the security surveillance plan. As you can see, all the cameras are marked in black there. I mean, Haskell has done an amazing job here, making sure that he has complete coverage of the facility, as you can see on the totally inside and on the outside, plenty of POS systems as the company scales. If we get that busy, hopefully we do get that busy, that would be great, but definitely set up to be successful. Next one, please. And then community impact plan. Looking to work with local folks in Bourne. You know, in Taunton, we work closely with the VFW. I reached out to the VFW here. I'm actually a member of the VFW 611 in Taunton, and the VFW seems open to working with us here, which would be great. Obviously, that's close to our heart. But we would also be reaching out to other organizations in Bourne, too, to see who would actually want to work with us. I think everyone thinks that everyone will work with you, but it's not like that. You really have to get into conversations with people to make sure that they're okay and comfortable with it. Next one, please. Next one. And I think that might be all of me for you guys here. Yeah, I think that's it. And I'll bring Haskell back up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Back up to the top?
Yes. And you could go back up to patient and myself. Scroll down from there.
Here?
Yes.
Okay.
So, I also graduated from Barnstable High School, class of 1996. Played sports there as what was a Cape and Islands All-Star for several years. From there, I went to UMass Dartmouth, graduated with a Bachelor in Arts. Like I was explaining to you earlier, I have over 20 years of experience in the retail business, not some of it selling cannabis, most of it selling clothing. In 2001, I started Elite Sportswear, which was a clothing store that we started in a Dartmouth mall, grew to several locations throughout the state. My job was to oversee the negotiation of leases, selecting and securing accounts with many well-known consumer brands. I was instrumental in hiring all of the employees and training everyone. As the landscape of retail was changing, we moved to online for that portion of the business. I also have over 20 years experience in the real estate profession. I have served as an investor, general contractor, and property manager on many projects throughout southeastern and western Massachusetts. I currently own a portfolio of commercial and residential properties and also hold a construction supervisor's license, which is also known as a general contractor's license. And I'm also, like I said, a certified general real estate appraiser, which means we appraise property of all different types, anything that produces a value. So I'm very familiar with zoning, citing of properties, ordinances as far as properties are concerned, and things of that sort. I'm also social equity certified. I was certified in 2009, 2019, I took the courses. In 2020, I received the certification. So we're actively looking to, basically I've been in the industry since 2018. Like I said, I was a participant in a social equity program. Was approved in 2020. With that program, we did complete a group of comprehensive service courses and certifications designed to prepare operators for success in the industry. In addition, I have been a licensed registered agent for the past 3 years, which obviously also requires you to take continuing ed and training every single year associated with that. And I have gained firsthand operational experience and a deep understanding of the compliance obligations under the Cannabis Control Commission. Under my guidance, we have licensing and approval process in Taunton, Massachusetts for a retailer. We basically completed everything basically within a year, including our build out and all the items needed as far as our provisional licensing, anything needed to do with the planning board, conservation. So we moved pretty fast as far as that was concerned. And that process required navigating and satisfying extensive municipal and state requirements, further strengthening our knowledge in cannabis laws and regulations and business operations. So we can move forward to the next slide. That's on Philip, a little bit of information on himself. Also, just a little backstory of obviously public service on the Cape as well. My grandfather was a war veteran, World War II. He moved to the Cape. He was also a Boston police officer for over 30 years. He moved to the Cape in 1978 and basically settled here with his family. He's now basically buried and resides in the Veterans Cemetery in Bourne, not far from here, and with my grandmother as well, who just passed away a few years ago. He was obviously, in their time as well, they basically took in over 109 children that were not theirs, some of them in crisis situations, and we're able to help to give these kids a better start and a better opportunity to have a successful life. You can move forward towards the social equity portion. Obviously, I don't know how much you know about the social equity program, but ethnicity is only one component. There are several components that you have to be approved for in order to become part of this program, including the fact that you've been and negatively impacted by the war on drugs. That's the whole point of this program as well, is to actually help out the people who have really actually been negatively impacted by the war on drugs. And part of that is the fact that you have been arrested potentially, or some type of situation that has to do with cannabis. So you can go ahead to the next page. This is just some information on basically the information as far as municipalities accepting cannabis, accepting social equity applicants, and hopefully giving them some type of preference as far as the situation is concerned. You can go to the next slide. So also, these are the new social equity laws that you may have obviously taken a look at. It basically requires that basically municipalities adhere to selecting potential social equity cannabis applicants. It actually strives that they basically asks that they strive to create a situation where for every regular applicant that there is a social equity business that is selected. And it actually goes as far as to say that those other businesses should not be able to open and commence operations until the social equity business has commenced operations. Go ahead, you can go to the next slide. So obviously, like Philip discussed, you receive additional funds associated with the social equity program, and you receive an additional portion of 1% associated with the social equity fund for hosting a social equity applicant. Now that also becomes at risk if, and the town also will potentially be at liability if for some reason someone was given preferential treatment based upon them being a social equity company, and then at that point they were removed. We've actually seen, and I know people that personally that have been approached with situations where they have an agreement that says they're going to be 51%, but their equity is actually 0. And that was obviously not the intention of the program, to have that be the outcome. The intention of the 51% is to actually have this person control the business, manage and operate that business, and be a beneficiary of the proceeds that come from that. So I just want to just to be aware of that part. So go ahead, you can go to the next slide. So this is just a copy of the certification that I received in 2020. It was during COVID, so we didn't actually have a ceremony. So basically, they just sent us this certification by email, which is what we received. You can go to the next slide. So to the location, we are looking to receive an HCA to open a marijuana retailer at 4 Bourne Bridge Approach. It is properly sited, located in the marijuana overlay district that the residents of the town of Bourne voted on. It meets all current zoning for cannabis retail. And like the other people were saying in Buzzards Bay, I think that it's in a good proximity to the other locations, because myself basically going to Barnstable High, and most of the time going to Hyannis and all the places down Route 6, you're not going to go down MacArthur if you can basically go somewhere right on the Rotary, because it's basically convenient. I basically, unless I'm going to Falmouth or Mashpee, probably never actually even go that way, or unless I'm going somewhere in Bourne or Falmouth or Mashpee. So, so I think that, and then I believe that there are people that think that it would be beneficial for the business not to actually be on the main thoroughfare of MacArthur Boulevard, but to be at a spot where you can get good traffic, you still have visibility, but it's not basically right in your face. I believe that also this is the highest and best use of the property. It seems that this property has been, as I talk with the other people, several restaurants, there's been a few different businesses up there, but in order for something to thrive, it kind of has to be a destination and something different. This is not like a convenience store where there's going to be 100 of them and you have to be right at the proper intersection in order to receive customers. Most people are going to search on their phone or whatever media they have to search for locations that they can possibly go to, and then go to not only the location that's most convenient, but also the location that provides value. When I say value, some people, there's a difference between cheap and value. Value means you're providing someone with a good product at a good and reasonable price. And when they bring up the medical part, yes, obviously they're moving forward as far as lowering what the bar is to receive a medical license, which will make it basically will add more potential that more people will potentially look into it. But the main point that one of the main things that the medical program provides is basically discounts and things to people who have a medical card. Now, we're not allowed to actually specifically give them discounts because they have a medical card, but if you're receiving value and you're getting a good price, then it could come in line with what you would get if you traveled to another medical location that was off Cape. On to the next slide. So this is just a site view of basically where the location basically sits. You can move to the next slide. This is our interior fit out for the location. We basically, you'll walk in through the main door. There is basically, you'll be buzzed in through security. Your ID will be checked. You'll have to, basically, we have a RF ID scanner, which basically will scan for basically your address, all information that's needed to verify that the person is the right age in order to access the location. From there, they will go into the location, and we will have kiosks as well that they can look at different products and look at in order to make a selection before going to the counter and to the retail associate. We'll also have someone that's very knowledgeable on the floor in order to help people that have questions on what to select, if they have joint problems, if they have anxiety, if they, whatever their issues are, need someone to assist with sleeping. We'll have someone that's knowledgeable. All bud tenders will be trained and receive additional training, but we will have basically someone on the floor to basically help people select things and attend to them personally.
You have about 2 minutes.
All right, you can go to the next page. This is just an interior rendering of the location, what we plan for it to look like as far as the main retail floor. This is a current picture of the location. Obviously used to be TJ's restaurant, and basically it's a one-story building. We will keep the building sited in the same location. We will just be performing interior and exterior renovations. All contractors will be hired locally. Obviously, I will be the general contractor on the project, which allows us to have control of the timeline and be able to make sure that things are getting done accordingly. And so that will be my job there as far as the construction is concerned. You can move forward to the next one. These are exterior renderings of what we plan for the property to look like once completed. It's meant to fit with the feel of the area and also the other existing buildings. I watched the presentation earlier, and I know that they had concern about visibility. There was a sign that currently sits in the corner of the property. However, as you can see right now, it's all covered with bushes. Once that is cleared, and once those bushes are cleared and the landscaping is provided, it will allow the sign to be seen visibly from the Rotary and obviously the location next door. You can move to the next picture, which also shows what that will look like once the landscaping is added and the trees are cleared. You can go down a little bit further. As far as people knowing where the location is from the Rotary, like I said, most of the times this is a destination, so they know that they're heading there, they know where it's located, and they basically know how to get there. We will also add a sign at the bottom of the corner, if allowed, that will also point to where the location is actually located.
All right, we are at our time. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right.
Yeah, someone dropped their key.
Yep. Oh, yeah, you picked it up. Yeah, so now we'll go around again, and I will go around to the select board and give my colleagues a chance to comment or ask questions. So I think maybe I'll start with MJ this time.
I'm not ready.
You're not ready? Okay. Anne Marie, you ready?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Why Bourne? What attracts you to this location, other than that you're a Barnstable graduate?
Well, I was looking, when I look at, obviously, the Cape in itself, obviously Barnstable has not opened up. And when you, and the same thing they were saying about businesses and being, them being successful. There are only 2 dispensaries, or 3, I guess, 2 in Mashpee and I guess 1 in Sandwich. And those dispensaries are extremely successful due to the fact that there aren't too many. So in any business, scarcity, which is important in real estate as well, the more scarce that the item is, or the more scarce that whatever the that you're specifically looking for is, allows basically creates more demand. The demand outweighs the supply, and it outweighs places that you can go, which then basically leads you to go to wherever you can actually go. It's also within 10 minutes of the Sandwich location, and also I guess within probably 20 minutes of the other location. It also, by being in the gateway of the Cape, you're also allowed to attract different customers, and also potentially attract more customers than you would even be able to attract in those locations. And Bourne is obviously losing all the customers that are here because they're basically going to those locations, and they're going off Cape, obviously, where there's more value. So between those 2 things, we would hope to fit in between there in order to help out the residents of Bourne, as well as providing a great business. Like you said, we're going to provide, our goal is to hire at least 50% of people from the local area, and also to hire local contractors. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, Jean?
I guess a comment. Really good presentation, good package. That's a challenging spot, but you do make a good point that it's a suitable business for that spot. So I guess I appreciate the renderings and the thought you put into that, and obviously your background and your knowledge is going to bring a lot to that. I think that's going to be your biggest challenge is that location and working on that building.
Yeah, I can find many benefits to the location. If you talk to 10 people, you would have 5 people that say it's the best location, and 5 people one person that would say it wasn't good for this reason. But when you're looking at a business decision, it's never really going to be 100%. And if you get 80% of what you're looking for and you only have a 20% problem, then your goal as the business person is to figure out how to minimize the impact of that 20% problem.
Nice words. Thank you.
Peter?
I was one of the, from the last go around, I was the one challenging people who had, sites in both of those. Because we had 2, we had that, and we had the one over the old Salvation Army. And I can tell you from being raised here, trying to get in and out of there between Memorial Day and Labor Day, getting back into that rotary, you may only get them once, and they may not be coming back because it's a challenging location. And so you're going to have to really push your marketing campaign and customer service and everything else to get them to come back again and again, because that site is challenging. There's a reason why businesses haven't done that well in that area. I mean, yeah, the veterinary surgical site, it's done well, but the restaurants and the old Salvation Army really, nothing's really been stable in there for a while. So you're going to have your challenges, but who knows? It may be the best place for it. It's just that I'm just saying from past. You have a lot of challenges ahead of you. In order to make that a successful venture.
Yeah, so the thing about cannabis that is different from even a restaurant, if you were on Cape Cod, how many restaurants are there in Bourne? How many restaurants are there within 5 minutes of that rotary? when you're looking at a cannabis business, it's kind of more like a destination. And even I've been to TJ several times just driving by and going there, and I've went there and ate myself when it was open. So I don't think that really deters anyone. People are going to go there for coffee. And cannabis, I guess people that consume cannabis is similar to coffee. They're going to go get it. They're looking for whatever reason. And I don't think that basically going through, I don't even see what the problem is. Basically myself, obviously you're going to go through traffic when you're driving on the Cape to kind of go anywhere, especially if you're talking about some of the busiest days of the year. So I think no matter where you were going that day, it would be challenging. I don't think the traffic impact, because of the fact that that road, there's no one driving up the road. If anything, we'll be bringing the traffic to that location, and I don't foresee it being an issue for all the reasons above.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation and provided a lot of value. It was great because Phil and Jenny, I think, were in the application, but they are part of your presentation, so that was good to have. I do think you're a good social equity candidate. I think the concern for not having debt is really smart business, because those fixed costs can really make a difference in your ability to be profitable. I don't have really too many questions. I think I think that the location is a good location and a bad location. So it's like it is a conundrum. I mean, it is. I mean,
but I think the benefits kind of outweigh.
I do think it offers. I think it does offer some access to people that would not go to MacArthur Boulevard or would not go over to Sandwich. So I think that was brought up by the Buzzards Bay location is good. So appreciate you coming. I think I have all my questions answered.
Yeah, good job.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead first.
No, timeline-wise for operations, do you have a projection if you were to be awarded?
Yes, so we're estimating somewhere between 6 to 9 months. Obviously, the construction, we're very efficient at completing the construction, familiar with local zoning. We have engineers and all types of people on staff, so we can move pretty quick in order to get things done. And like I said, my other business is basically remodeling properties, and that depends on doing it fast and doing it correct and properly, and so that's basically how I've made the funding in order to fund the business, is by being successful in that area. So I have no doubt, as far as I'm comfortable in all aspects of construction, completing it, and knowing what to do, which obviously gives us advantage when dealing with any real estate, as far as having the knowledge to deal with it, how to secure it, how to maintain it, how to deal with it. I've been owning and managing properties for over 20 years.
Jean, did you have something else?
No, thanks.
So I think I'll just add, I think, again, my colleagues have been very good at getting the questions answered here this afternoon. I think I will, sort of agree with Ms. Mastrangelo. I think that it's sort of a, 50-50 with that location. It has its good points, and then it has its troubles because of the traffic, and getting in and out of there can be just really hard. I know we go up to PetSmart, and it's difficult sometimes, especially if you're heading over to, if you're not going right to get onto the bridge, you've got to cut across the traffic. So it is a challenge, but we do appreciate your presentation, and you've done well to sort of fix and help us see some of the things that, we might not have previously. So.
Well, just like you said, you go to PetSmart, and I'm sure
Go.
You've been to
That's
coffee.
right.
You don't go there and say, I'm not going to get the pet any food or anything.
Exactly.
There might be some
Exactly.
traffic over there, so I don't think that no one basically really realistically
always
actually.
traffic.
Yeah,
It's
it's a little
always
bit.
traffic, no
Just
matter
as a
what.
little extra
Big time.
challenges getting out of there as opposed to maybe some
Well,
of the
like
other
you said, like she said, if you're going, depending on where you're going, maybe if you're trying to go, but even then, you ease right off and get into the second lane, and you're right around there. So myself, I don't really find it totally.
This time of year is not so bad. It's the summer, right?
It's that 10-week window. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
I've been here
exactly.
plenty of times in the summer.
Oil
It's been a lot of summer
Yeah.
year in the whole entire year.
You guys have your own Rotaries in Barnstable, right?
No, before I forget, I see veterans hats, one in the back of the room as well, so at least, so thank you for your service.
Thank you.
All right. So with that said, our interviews have concluded. We will not be obviously deliberating and discussing today our deliberation process. We are going to discuss possibility of the 9th, Marlene. I think I'll look to you for a minute on that.
So if the board wants to talk about the next steps, I think the most aggressive schedule for you to consider is if you do your scoring individually and send your score sheets to me on Friday by noon. That allows
Friday of this week?
Friday. This is the most aggressive schedule.
Okay.
So this is for your,
Yes, yeah.
this is for your consideration and your
Like today is Wednesday.
Well, I'm ahead right now. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it all out on Friday.
So that's up for you to decide. This is the most aggressive schedule that I'm saying that I could do, is if you sent the score sheets by noon on Friday, you could potentially have them have a meeting that starts at 6 p.m. on the 9th, where you could discuss and deliberate. Now, as you know, it's very important that you do your individual scores individually. And then I need some time to do the composite. So there is, that may not be doable, which is fine. Then if that's not a target that is realistic, then I think you should probably look at scheduling an off meeting to set aside an hour or an hour and a half to do a discussion and deliberation, not on a Tuesday night.
So Peter said wanted to say something, so I'll let you go first.
I think it's very aggressive. We're going to basically take them 24 hours or so and then submit them. I mean, I would like at least a week to go through these, because Bourne TV's not going to have this downloaded before tomorrow, and I want to watch this thing again. I want to, give it the attention that it deserves, but I don't want to drag it out that long either. I think if we can get them in maybe by the 10th, so the staff can collate them, and then maybe if we get them in on the 10th, we can get. Do you think the scores will be available for the 12th? From the staff, the compilation, and then
We
we
don't
could.
have a meeting that 16th, that's the.
Yeah,
okay.
that's one Cape.
Summit.
That's one
No,
Cape
I
Summit.
was just, we're thinking of meeting off time.
Do an off day.
Right.
If you want to do an off meeting, I think let's work backwards from that.
Yeah. I mean, so one Cape is what, 15th to
16th
16th
and
and
16th
17th.
and 17th.
Well, we could meet
But
on,
anything beyond that, I will not be available
Yeah.
meet on the 15th.
until the 20th, like October 1st,
Can we meet on the 15th?
from the 19th to like the 30th.
Okay. Or the 12th?
I'm not going to be here on the 12th.
No, I'm in
so
training
no.
all day on the 12th. I just wish that the 9th is the aggressive part. I mean, it's Friday. It's just hard to get it all done by then, I think, for us to do it fairly, right? We want to be fair to the candidates, but we also don't want to make everybody wait.
Yeah, I know.
What
So,
about the 11th? Because then, if you met at like 1 p.m. on the 11th,
Can we do 3 p.m.? Because then National Night
I'm
is
in training.
5.
I'm in training the Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday all next week, and they're all-day trainings, unfortunately.
Okay, so.
I have a commitment on the 15th.
Like 12 to 4 a minute. So if we did them in the morning early, maybe I might be able to swing it.
The 11th.
Morning of the 11th?
Morning of the 11th,
That's okay with
yeah.
me.
Morning of the 11th.
10 o'clock.
And have them in by the 8th or 9th?
The 8th.
Because I think
Working backwards from that, Marlene?
So what time on the 11th?
10.
That's pushing it for me because I have to be back into my home office by noon to start my training.
I think
So
2
unless
hours.
unless we do a virtual.
I would say an hour and a half. Deliberation?
So if we start at 9:30.
Nine?
Yeah, it's fine.
9:30?
9:30 works.
9:30?
9:30?
I mean, I think it's more important that you not feel rushed.
So 2 hours on that, the 11th, from 9:30, 11:30, will that give you time?
Do you want to do this to be
Stressful.
a?
That's a stressful morning for me when I have
Yeah,
a full day of training.
Virtual?
I
Do
want to
you
be able
wanna-
to concentrate, not be rushed and feel
Do you wanna do
pressured, right?
virtual?
Because I know all our candidates wants us not to be rushed and stressed either, I'm sure. I mean, I'm okay with virtual. If we did it virtual, it would be
So
easier because then I
virtual-
wouldn't drive
11
and
to
travel.
9:30.
But
I
then
can't-
our
no,
candidates,
'cause
don't the
I-
candidates usually come when we do that though? Don't they generally?
It's an open meeting.
Those are meetings.
They can join.
But
I
virtually.
can't do, virtual would be difficult because I have to be in a,
Or hybrid.
a 9 o'clock meeting that I wouldn't be able to get home until 10:30
Okay.
On the 11th?
on the 11th.
How about the following? Oh no, because you have.
But
the-
I'd happen to be in Buzzards Bay for that 9 o'clock meeting, so I could do 10 o'clock or
Oh, I see what you're
9:30
saying.
here, but I
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah, to get
Yeah.
home.
And we could do it. It's just gonna have to. It's just gonna be a stressful
So-
morning trying to get back.
What if it's, Melissa, what if it's 9:30 with a hard stop at 11?
Yeah, that would probably work.
Yeah, and if we're not ready, then we'll stop.
Then
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to stop at 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So, so hang on a second. So if you have a meeting at 9:30 a.m. on September 11th, with a hard stop at 11, I would like to have everyone's individual score sheets.
Monday morning.
I would like everyone's individual score sheets by like 4 p.m. on Monday.
Okay.
Okay.
That works.
It's been another Sunday
Yeah.
doing that. I spent like, I think 7 hours on Sunday doing this.
And
4 p.m.
for the board's information, you have received an email from Maria with all of the presentation materials.
Oh, great.
Yes, we
So
have.
that's in your
I
inbox.
see, yeah, got it.
Awesome.
And if you can email me your sheets, I would prefer that, but if you can't, then just drop them off and leave them at the office. Don't try to track me down.
Flag me down.
Yeah.
Like, leave them at the office and by no later than 4 p.m. on Monday, the 8th. Or email them to me and only me if you're going to send them by email. Otherwise, drop them off at the office. Is that okay?
Yep.
Sure.
I'll
Is it
scan mine.
possible
in.
We have them electronically, right? Or do we have the score sheets electronically?
You've
I scanned
received,
mine in.
so we're using the CCC
CCs,
standard.
yeah.
I
They're
mean,
in
you've
the
received
packet.
it multiple times
Right,
electronically.
Yeah, it's right
Right.
here.
Um,
We have them all.
Do
It
we have
is-
them as a Word document?
Thank
or-
you.
No,
Thank you very much, yeah.
I don't.
PDF, right?
This is the CCC's, we didn't create it. I don't have a Word document.
Okay.
There's an electronic copy on the website that you can download.
Okay.
So it has to be hand-filled out.
Yes,
I'm just gonna
right.
sign in and just give it to
So-
them there on Monday.
that's fine.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so if we've decided on all that, I think if we are all done, we need a motion to adjourn. If we've
Move to
Motion to
adjourn.
adjourn.
all right, motion to adjourn from Peter.
Second.
Second from Jean. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstained?
Abstentions.
Thank you.